All right, this update is brought to you by Caltrans, cleancalifornia.com. Padres beat the Braves last night in Game 1 of the Wild Card Series 4-0. Michael King had a pitching performance for the ages, 7 innings, no earned runs, 12 strikeouts. Fernando Tatis Jr. with a 2-run home run in the first inning. That's all they needed to lead the series 1-0. Game 2 tonight, same time, 5:38 first pitch. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres against Max Fried for the Braves. Of course, if the Padres win tonight, they advance to the NLDS, take on the Dodgers. Other scores in baseball happening right now. Game 2 between the Astros and the Tigers. The Astros just blew a 2-1 lead in the 8th inning thanks to Josh Hader, who gave it up. Sorry, it's the 9th inning there. It's tied 2-2. Tigers lead that series 1-0. And the Royals, 8th, sorry, can't see. Royals lead 1-0 over the Baltimore Orioles, top of the second. Imagine a photograph of your favorite place in California. Then right in the middle of it, one piece of litter. Litter has no place in our lives. Not one piece together. Let's change that. Clean California, 0 litter is the goal. CleanCA.com.
It's showtime, folks!
Let the playoffs begin. We're breaking down the MLB wildcard round live with the faithful at Naughty Barrel, 844 Market Street, leading you right up to first pitch. Now, it's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 1 of an extended Jon and Jim with you from 2 to 5:30 p.m. here today, and a really good show lined up for you as San Diego goes for a sweep of a 3-game series against the Atlanta Braves. We've got baseball guests for you. Scott Miller, New York Times contributor, will join us at 4 p.m. Darnay Tripp is down at Petco Park. He'll join us on the phones at 3:30. We'll talk a little bit of college football with Dennis Dodd as well this hour, but the Padres won yesterday. All of our hopes and dreams came true. We said they have the advantage of the starting pitching matchup. They're at home. Hopefully they feed off the crowd. And then Michael King goes out and does something that nobody fully expects. I mean, one of the best pitching performances in modern baseball history, let alone in Padres postseason history. He goes 7. Fernando Tatis Jr. essentially does the rest in the first inning. And it wasn't a laugher, but an easy win, quote unquote, an easy win for the Padres in Game 1 of the postseason is a good way to start the postseason. By the way, we're at the Naughty Barrel.
Oh, yeah, we're at the Naughty Barrel.
Yeah, we're downtown.
Come on downtown. We're here until 5:30, taking up the first pitch at Petco Park, literally just like 2 blocks away. This place is great for some food before the game, for a beer. Oh, by the way, it just got nominated and won Best Barbecue in San Diego, thanks to the SD Readers Poll. So congratulations to Naughty Barrel for winning that award. I do hear that, Jon.
That's from us.
Yeah, exactly. So come on down, have a beer, have some food, get ready for Game 2 tonight, and hopefully the Padres can advance to the NLDS. But, last night, to me, was one of the most stress-free games, stress-free postseason games that I can remember covering, watching in a long time. The first inning, runners on first and third, there's 2 outs. Braves don't end up scoring there. And then, boom, right away, bottom of the first, Toddy hits that 2-run bomb that I don't even think has landed yet still. And that was it. That's all she wrote. I mean, Michael King was fantastic. It was not only one of the best performances that you'll see maybe this postseason, it's one of the best pitching performances in the history of the sport. 7 innings, no earned runs, no walks, 12 strikeouts. He was unhittable, and they walk away with a 4-0 win going away. I mean, the Higgy home run in the 8th, no stress with Robert Suarez in the 9th other than a ball hit deep to left. But other than that, Jon, I mean, not at one point in that game last night was I scared or nervous about the Padres' chances to win that game.
It's probably not oversimplifying it or going too far with recency bias to say it's one of the top pitching performances for the Padres in their postseason history. Yesterday was only their 53rd all-time playoff game. It was only their 53rd all-time playoff game. And Michael King did something that's never been done in baseball history, which is 12 or more strikeouts, 7 or more innings, 0 runs, 0 walks in a playoff start. So Michael King was the story. Will Joe Musgrove be the story here tonight as the Padres go for a sweep and hope to move on to the National League Division Series. I don't think personally it will be as easy. I'd be very surprised if Atlanta is shut out in the series. I do think they will score a run at some point in the series, and I think Max Fried is a lot better than what they threw out there yesterday because of circumstance. Max Fried results in a little bit of a change for the Padres in their lineup. Jay Cronenworth has slid down to 8th. Donovan Solano moves up to 7th. That's because a left-hander is on the mound. But this is the game. We said yesterday is a must-win game. I would put this as close to a must-win game because all the pressure would shift to San Diego should the Braves win here today. Of course, your season isn't literally on the line here today. Yeah. But as much as yesterday you had to win, today it feels like you kind of have to win as well because for me, everything is off. If this is a deciding game at Petco Park, at that point, you're stressful the second you wake up if that's the case.
Yeah, avoiding elimination games at all costs is always the goal in the postseason. You never want to have yourself be in an elimination game. Obviously, that's kind of wishful thinking in the postseason. You're probably at one point going to face a situation with adversity and your season on the line. But in such a short series like this, I linked it yesterday. Yesterday's game was the game where you're up 2-2. Or it's tied 2-2 in the series, and then yesterday was technically like a game 5. Well, today's like a game 6 with a 3-2 lead. Mm-hmm. You don't want to get to a game 7. You don't want to get to a deciding game 3 here tomorrow night, even though they do have the better pitching matchup with Cease and whoever. But for me, tonight is the same as last night. It's a must win. You got to end this series when you have the chance. The longer a series goes on, the more opportunities for something crazy to happen.
Yeah.
And while it is a short series, you don't want to put yourself in a winner-take-all game where everything is up for grabs and it's basically kind of a free-for-all for the Braves. Like, they're going to use all their pitching and they're going to use everything they possibly can to advance. Same thing with the Padres, but you don't want to put yourself in that situation.
And in one of those situations where it's like beggars can't be choosers, but if all things are equal, if Dylan Cease could somehow be throwing in game 1 of the next round, that's another advantage to San Diego because now all of a sudden maybe Cease is available in games 1 and 5 in a 5-game series against LA. Now you, Darvish, as opposed to throwing in game 1 of that series and being your game 1 and 5 starter, maybe it's now someone like Dylan Cease. So, again, yesterday went very well. Will that continue to be the case here today? We're going to find out coming up at 5:38. Again, we're at the Naughty Barrel. And again, we've got a really good show lined up for you here today. Scott Miller at 4 p.m. from the New York Times, Darn a Trip, will join us at 3:30. I found this interesting from Mike Schilt. He has spoke with the media. He said this today, that the team is playing to win. So Mike Schilt, direct quote today at his media availability, is that their mentality entering game 2 is they're going to play to win today.
Hold on.
Would you like to react to that?
My mind's a little blown right now.
So they're going to try to win.
You mean
the game today?
The postseason game?
The postseason game that determines who the world champion is at the end of October. They'll try to continue to advance in that tournament.
The game that if they win, they advance to the next round?
Yeah, Mike Schilt, direct quote, says his team is playing to win today.
So they're trying to win?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Mike Schilt, man, he's good for a quote, isn't he?
Well, I don't blame Mike Schilt for saying that. I blame whoever put that quote out there.
Are you playing for game 2 or game 3? What do you think, bud?
Like,
what's the mentality of the team? Well, the mentality of the team is we're playing to win.
Yeah, that's the thing. And then you see, people tweeting out like Mike Schilt said they're trying to win today. Well, no Mike. Duh. Nothing. No problem with that from Mike Schilt. It's whoever asked that or whoever put that out there. But it's just, yeah, of course they're trying to win today. This is an opportunity to end a series when you are up. And anytime you're in that situation in the postseason, you got to take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. Like if this team goes to the NLCS or hopefully like a World Series, right? Same thing with the DS round. If you're up in that series and then following games elimination day for the other team, you got to take advantage of that.
Sure.
So they're set up still beautifully. They didn't tax their bullpen at all last night because King was amazing. Jason Adam, filthy, striking out the side in the 8th there. Robert Suarez got the clean inning as far as giving up no runs. Didn't give a clean inning as far as runners on, but had the clean inning, giving up no runs. They're still set up perfect. The Braves had to use their bullpen last night. They didn't get taxed in their bullpen, but at the same time, it's set up still for you where you have the advantage to me in this series.
No doubt about it. By the way, Josh Hader pitching in a tie game in Houston allows a 3-run double.
Oh,
in the 8th inning as the Tigers have taken a 5-2 lead on Houston, and they are now 6 defensive outs away, in fact, 5 defensive outs away from moving on. Detroit, a team that was maybe 11 games under 500 at some point in the second half of the season that traded away Jack Flaherty, is now 5 defensive outs away from moving on to the American League Division Series. It's funny how postseason baseball does work. We're going to take an early time out here because Dennis Dodd, who's a national college football writer for CBS Sports, will join us on the other side with more on what Gonzaga means for the Pac-12 and San Diego State and where the league goes from here when it comes to looking for its next football playing member. We'll hear from Fernando Tatis Jr. on what it was like last night inside Petco Park. Darnay Tripp will join us at 3:30. Scott Miller's on the show at 4 p.m. It's an extended Jon and Jim. We're here until 5:30, right before first pitch inside Petco Park at 5:38. And again, if you're looking for something to do before the game, join us at the Naughty Barrel. We're 9th in Market. It's 75 and sunny right now. Indoor, outdoor, all the games are on TV. They'll have happy hour starting at 4 p.m. And we're here for the next 3.5 hours. Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, will join us next on Jon and Jim.
Baseball's postseason is underway, and we're live at Naughty Barrel previewing the action with the Fanatics. Now back to Jon and Jim.
All right, back with you, Naughty Barrel, downtown San Diego, here until 5:30. Again, the Padres and Braves playing Game 2. If the Padres win, they move on. And again, come join us. We're here for the next 3+ hours. We're also talking about what's been playing out, obviously, with the Pac-12. How does it impact San Diego State? We learned about Gonzaga yesterday to the league, and it's great to connect with Dennis Dodd, who's been on the show a number of times before, national college football writer for CBS Sports, back with us on Jon and Jim. So, Dennis, we appreciate you taking a few minutes. I guess I'll just start by asking for your reaction to the news that Gonzaga will join the Pac-12 in 2026.
Well, first of all, what's the vibe like down there? I miss it.
It's gonna be crazy in about an hour and a half, Dennis. The bar's already filling up with Padres fans, and yesterday we were down here and it was electric. So yeah, it's the vibe is
That's
great.
great.
You're missing out.
They're my team in the postseason. I'm a Cardinals fan, but fondly miss San Diego and Petco. So, okay, all right, with the Pac-12, yeah, great get. Helps fill out the conference. Basketball only member. Will give them increased basketball credibility. Obviously, with San Diego State and Gonzaga, you've got a couple of teams that have played in the national championship game the last few years. Gonzaga's been in the tournament, 14 straight years or something like that. We know about San Diego State, so that was great. The issue is on the football side, and they've now paused their negotiations for an 8th team. That, to me, sends up all kinds of red flags that you can't lure a team to a conference that, is bragging about all these resources it has. And Pac-12 Enterprises has a war chest of cash that can help pay exit fees to any team. I know they lowballed Memphis and probably Tulane with between an offer of $2.5 and $5 million to leave. I think in the American it cost $25 million to leave. So even though it would probably be a step up for those schools, it's not worth it to take that big of a haircut.
Dennis, now with Gonzaga in the mix, do you think like maybe the Memphis and Tulane, they go back to that well, or where do they go next after the addition of Gonzaga?
I've heard that, but look, this thing may last the rest of the year. Our reporting today from Brandon Marcello said it may be paused for a period of a few weeks till the end of the year, for the next 3 months. So, that really sends up, again, red flag. So they can't attract teams that they're putting out a number out there that just isn't reasonable. And the number I heard from the Big 12 that the Pac-12 is putting out there is 10 to 15 million per school. There's no way that assembly of schools is worth 10 to 15 million. And I think that's why you saw a school like UNLV stay in the Mountain West, a school like Air Force stay in the Mountain West. I think they've overvalued themselves. And if that's true, guys, what does that sound like? That sounds suspiciously like the old Pac-12, because that's what got them, that's what crushed that league. And I'm not saying this is going to happen here by any means, but there's something about the culture there that just, they're overvaluing their product.
Dennis Dodd, CBS Sports, with us right now, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. So, from that media rights perspective, and I don't know what the Mountain West is getting currently. Maybe you do, Dennis. Was it $5-6 million per school?
Yeah,
is that
that's about
reasonable?
Right, yeah.
And let's say the American, you tell me what, $8-9 million per school?
Yeah, that's about as currently configured. Not
as currently configured.
Not the
yeah.
new, not the new way.
So what do you think? What would you think is reasonable? I mean, when you hear American at 8-9 and Mountain West at 5-6, you take away quote unquote the bottom of the Mountain West, and then you added the top of it with Oregon State, Washington State. What do you think is a reasonable figure?
Well, something significantly below that. Again, there's value to that Pac-12 brand, and there's value to that technology sitting in a warehouse in San Ramon, California, as they keep talking about from the old Pac-12 network. And there's value to that war chest of $250 million or whatever it is. But those are finite numbers. That money's going to run out at some point. If you spend it all on exit fees, or a lot of it on exit fees, that's a problem. I'm not a media consultant,
Sure.
but they've got to find one who knows that price. And I'm not reporting this, but I think they may be out there looking for a new one who can take these 8 teams to market and say, what's a fair price for these, to the point that they don't have an 8th team, an 8th team in football, an 8th overall member. So how do you even go to market with, not a full lineup? Both of them were getting there, talking about the Mountain West and Pac-12. But that continues to baffle me. I guess you're just saying, well, what if Texas State? What if Tulane? What if Memphis? So I think that's the issue right now. You don't have a conference to market, and what teams you do have are being overvalued.
And when you look at the basketball side of this, Dennis, would you consider now with the addition of Gonzaga, like, okay, this is one of the better basketball conferences in college basketball?
Yeah, no question. I think it was on our site. I briefly glanced at it today because I've been working on football.
Yeah.
But I think with the addition of Gonzaga, that vaults the Pac-12 up to like the number 4 conference. So it's back to being a power conference if it's in the top 4. Obviously, the ACC, Big Ten, and Big 12 probably round out the top 3. And without them, I think it falls down significantly down below that. I can't remember the graphic I saw. But there's no question that the Pac-12 with Gonzaga and basketball is going to be one of the top 4 conferences in the country, and really, really exciting to watch.
And with that being said, Dennis, I know football drives the revenue and it drives the conference realignment talk and makes things happen. But with this being potentially a better basketball conference than football, when they do go to market and when they do try to sell this media deal, do you think they could potentially push basketball first for that, or how do you think that could work?
Yeah, I don't think basketball's first. I still think football drives the bus because if you look at Alabama, Georgia, 14 million viewers at one point. I think that was the high on Saturday. You're not going to get that, even anything close to that, for any regular season basketball game. So that just shows you the worth of football. And the math is typically in a media rights deal, 80 to 85% is football, and then about 15 to 20% is basketball. I suspect in the Pac-12 that number in basketball will be a higher percentage. But if football's still carrying the weight, you still got to make money. I mean, you still got to have enough in there to pay the bill. And maybe that, look, with the units they're going to get, some success in the tournament, maybe that makes up for it. Maybe they have weighted shares. I was told in the beginning by some Colorado State folks, right when they made the move, those 4 schools made the move, that at least the football revenue is going to be split evenly. It looks like that's not the case right now. It looks like it's going to be weighted based on success or based on media value. Boise State had something like that in the Mountain, where I think they were making $7 or $7+ million a year because they were the flagship of that league. And maybe the flagship of this league. It remains to be seen. So, no, I still think football carries the day.
Dennis, final one for me is do you have any good feel for how the college football playoff will play out for 2026 and beyond in terms of number of teams and access for programs really in the Power 4? Because it sounds like if the SEC and or Big Ten get their way, it even could limit some access for leagues like the Big 12 and the ACC.
Yeah, I do. I'll just give you our research. I think we figured this out last year. One of my editors or I worked on this. We went back and plugged in the previous 10 years of the playoff. Okay, with 12 teams in it, in the current configuration of the conferences, 18 in the Big 10, 16 in the SEC, and so forth. The average season out of 12, 7.73, or basically 8 teams from those 2 leagues at the top in any given year. There were a couple of years where there would have been 9.
Wow.
So I think that's what you're going to see. And if that's the case, if there's an average of 8, look at the math, guys. That means there's going to be 4 spots for the other 100 teams in FBS. And with these meetings next week in Nashville between the SEC and Big Ten, I think you're going to try to see them consolidate that power. There's already rumblings about getting a strength of schedule component that's public for the selection committee, and they're talking about a scheduling agreement which would just put better games on and improve their schedule strength. And I think something to watch. I'm going to make a note on it this week. I looked it up. Schedule strength through week 5. The Big Ten and SEC now, before any of this happens, now have 6 of the top 13 teams in schedule strength with half a season to go. I think it's going to be very interesting.
No doubt about it. Dennis, always appreciate your insight and your reporting. It's always fascinating, as you know, with college athletics. So thanks for hopping on in San Diego, and hopefully we can do it again at some point soon.
Yeah, I'd love to. Thanks, guys.
All right, great stuff from Dennis Dodd at CBS Sports. We're going to hear from Fernando Tatis Jr. on the other side. We're at Naughty Barrel, downtown San Diego, 3 hours out from Padres and Braves Game 2. If the Padres win, they're moving on to face the LA Dodgers in the NLDS. Plus Scott Miller at 4 p.m., Darnay Tripp at 3:30 p.m. on the show. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Caltrans, cleancalifornia.com. Padres and Braves, game 2 of their 3-game series tonight. Padres have a 1-0 series lead. Last night, Michael King pitched a gem, going 7 innings, striking out 12, giving up 0 earned runs. Toddy hit a 2-run home run in the first inning. Tonight, Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres against Max Fried for the Braves. 5:38 first pitch at Petco. Other scores around baseball today. The Tigers just eliminated the Houston Astros. They won today 5-2. They're moving on to the ALDS. Kansas City Royals lead Baltimore right now 1-0, bottom of the third inning there. Imagine a photograph of your favorite place in California, then right in the middle of it, one piece of litter. Litter has no place in our lives, not one piece. Together, let's change that. Clean California. Zero litter is the goal. CleanCA.com.
Baseball's postseason is underway, and we're live at Naughty Barrel previewing the action with the Fanatics. Now back to Jon and Jim.
All right, back with you, Naughty Barrel, downtown here in San Diego, with you until 5:30. Jon and Jim, we will have Darnay Tripp on the show coming up at 3:30. Darnay Tripp, dude.
Just roll with it, buddy.
Here we go. I am rolling with it.
It's okay.
It's frozen or something.
John's computer has just S'd itself.
Yes, it really has.
Now you
It's
need a new
frozen.
computer.
I'll take yours.
You're
I
good.
seriously will.
You're fine on mine.
Okay, it's fine now. It's fine. Okay, so Houston getting eliminated. Listen to this. I mean, listen to the circumstance here. Houston gets eliminated by A.J. Hinch.
In Houston.
This is a team that in August, according to Fangraphs, had a 0.2 chance of reaching the playoffs.
Dude.
A 0.2% chance. The Astros had made 7 consecutive American League Championship Series. Manny Machado said this is a World Series preview, and Houston was here 3 weeks ago. He was wrong. So that's where we are. Houston is out. That's how quick this can happen. I mean, that happened in 24 hours. I mean, before game 2 of the Padres, Houston's out.
I mean, just imagine how good A.J. Hinch feels to eliminate the Astros in Houston for everything that happened there with him, right?
Yeah.
Won a World Series, kind of got thrown under the bus for the whole cheating, trash can scandal.
True.
And he goes back there with a Detroit Tigers team that, truthfully, I can't name anybody on the Tigers besides Scooble. Like, there's nobody on that team, Tolgerson, that I'm like, oh, star player.
Mm-hmm.
Tariq Skubal was the only guy on that team that nationally I think people know if they're baseball fans.
Sure.
Because he's going to win the Cy Young this year. And they're moving on to the ALDS. Just a crazy, crazy story. They are like the poster child of when you get hot, watch what can happen. Same thing with the New York Mets right now. If they can take down Milwaukee tonight or later this afternoon, they're in the same boat. They just got incredibly hot. Now they have better players.
I mean, the payrolls aren't even close.
Not even close. I think they have a better team than the Tigers.
Yeah.
But the Tigers are just winning off pure
baseball.
Baseball.
You know? I mean, I'm looking at payrolls right now in baseball. I'm guessing the Mets have a top 5 payroll.
I'm going to say around 300.
Yeah, I mean, so the Mets spend. I mean, they've spent poorly, you could argue, over the years. The Mets lead baseball in spending this year.
Makes sense.
And then there's lowly Detroit, 26th in baseball in spending. They traded away Jack Flaherty. They've been going bullpen day for 2 months.
Wow.
They've gone bullpen day for 2 months, and yet here they are in the American League Division Series. All right, Padres are going to play coming up at 5:30 in just under 3 hours. We'll have Darnay Tripp, friend of the show, NBC7, join us at 3:30. Scott Miller, New York Times, will join us at 4 p.m. We have great giveaways for you today as well. San Diego State, Hawaii, Saturday on San Diego Sports 760. We'll give those tickets away. We have Rocktoberfest tickets. We also have Iron Maiden tickets to give away. Now, Fernando Tatis Jr. did speak last night after his towering mammoth home run in the first pitch of his sequence in the first inning to give the Padres a 2-0 lead. Here was Fernando Tatis Jr. postgame after the Padres 4-0 win.
You hit your first playoff home run. There was nobody in the stands here in 2020. Can you compare that scene to what played out today?
Totally different. But, man, this crowd is unbelievable. I mentioned earlier, that's what I was waiting for, just the energy that people was going to bring. And San Diego definitely show up. And, man, with just the feedback from the energy that they brought.
How did that make you feel, especially running out to right field, the way you've been doing all season, but in the playoffs?
It's very rewarding. It's one of the most beautiful sides of the game can bring. to a baseball player, and just making your crowd going crazy is what we dream of a kid. Hitting a home run in a clutch spot and in a postseason, meaning something is definitely what you work for, and then those are definitely memories you're gonna take forever.
When you hit that home run, you kind of fell off balance a little bit, and then you kind of stared at it. Just were you surprised by how hard you hit it and how far it went?
I know it was gonna go out. I didn't know it was gonna land on the second deck just because how high it was. But yeah, slip a little bit on the plate. Just my back foot just came out, but was like fortunate enough to keep my back path where I wanted, and next thing we know, the ball was in the stands.
How exciting is it for you to be back in the playoffs?
And man, it's beautiful. It's beautiful energy. I love this type of situation. It definitely brings the best out of me, and just looking forward to way more experience like this.
What did you think about Michael King's performance tonight?
It was amazing. It was amazing. He definitely set the tone for us. He gave us the confidence that we needed as a group, as an offense, and just him going out there, showing the door for 7 innings. Man, that's all you can ask for a starter, and just a great work from what he has been doing all year.
Scott.
Fernando, obviously last time the Padres were in the playoffs, you couldn't play. How long have you been waiting for the moment, like your first at bat tonight and that home run? And how much of those emotions went into that first at bat?
Yeah, since 2020, I got a small taste of what is postseason baseball in the big leagues, and I was definitely looking forward to play again in those situations, especially with fans. Before the game, all those memories came back. Everything that I went through, how it bounced back. Just the type of player that I am, and just doing that is just an amazing feeling of all the hard work and just all the training that I put out there with my body.
Barry.
Hey, how aware are you of Padre history? The fact that they haven't been to the World Series in 26 years. They've won one World Series game in their history. If you guys can take this to the end, you're really doing something historic.
Yeah, of course. Definitely paying attention to that, and it will mean the world for us, to carry this team all the way to the World Series and win it out there. But before that, I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. We definitely know the special group that we have over here. But it's about taking care of the next day. We won today, but it's already over at midnight. And it's about coming tomorrow and doing it again. And then after that, next series. But I'm definitely confident of the group that we have, the talent, the pitching, and just looking forward to definitely going to the World Series.
And for you, how much of the memory of Peter Seidler hangs over all of this?
He's in the front of it. Me and Pete definitely had a relationship, like stuff that probably nobody knew. Is like when I had my surgeries and I got my suspension, like Peter was sitting in my house with me in the afternoon after all my surgeries. He came a couple of times to my house and had beautiful conversation with him of how San Diego was going to look the next 3 years, the next 5 years, the next 10 years. And, what he has for the city and the love that he had for all of us, it was just unconditional. And like, we're definitely doing this for him, and we're definitely pushing harder for him, especially myself. And, every step that I go from here in my career here in San Diego, he's definitely going to be in my right shoulder, popping every single special moment.
Thank you.
He is in a really good headspace. It's one thing to be playing the way he's playing. He's got a 12-12 career OPS in 7 playoff games, but his headspace right now is really, really encouraging for Padres fans, just listening to the way in which he answered those questions last night.
He's just calm. He's in the moment. And it's just a surprise of, like, literally nobody. That first pitch, he hits one upper deck.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of talk of Manny. Can he continue his second half run into a postseason? Can he carry this team? Well, Fernando Tatis Jr. can absolutely be that guy to carry a team on offense. I mean, his first 2 plate appearances yesterday, he was so locked in.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was sitting fastball the second he woke up yesterday morning, and he hits one 420 feet out. And then next plate appearance, he draws a walk. That tells me that he is locked in at the plate. And if you had a postseason where Toddy had like 6 or 7 home runs in it, that means they would have to obviously go far. But he has a postseason where he is just every time at the plate, he's gonna do something special or has an opportunity, and he comes through. Like, man, I tell you what, that's pretty cool right there.
From the 2021 offseason until now, he's grown up. I mean, he's really changed a lot. From the 2021 offseason, the suspension, the injuries, the not being fully truthful about the injuries to where he is today, hopefully carrying San Diego to a deep run in the postseason. All right, on the other side, much more on tonight. We're at the Naughty Barrel, downtown San Diego, 9th and Market. We'll be here until 5:30. Their happy hour will begin at 4 p.m. It's starting to fill up, so make your way down here. Because, again, they've got all the action for you, whether you have tickets or not. Make your way down. They'll have Padres-Braves Game 2 on TV. Darnay Tripp will join us at 3:30 from NBC7. Scott Miller was there last night. He'll join us at 4. And on the other side, we're giving away San Diego State Hawaii football tickets. You're listening to Jon and Jim.
Baseball's postseason is underway, and we're live at Naughty Barrel previewing the action with the Fanatics. Now back to Jon and Jim.
All right, if you missed our 2024 iHeartRadio Music Festival, you can now watch the best moments exclusively on Hulu. Beginning Monday, you'll see the biggest festival headliners from around the world assembled on one stage for one show. Keith Urban, New Kids on the Block, the Black Crowes, and many more. This is the only time you will see a lineup of superstar performers like this one on one stage. I don't know if Machado will be there or not. That'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Although
It's supposed to be a surprise. You ruined it.
Oh, okay. Manny Machado will be there.
Perfect.
I don't know if the atmosphere will rival Petco Park, what we saw last night. Dylan Cease saying yesterday that he thought the atmosphere yesterday was incredible.
Yeah.
And you hear that time and time again, whether it's from home players or visiting players, on what's been built here over the last handful of seasons. I'd say since Peter Seidler's ownership began, going back 4, 5, 6 seasons,
Yeah.
you've seen crowds like that routinely at Petco Park. That's not the first example last night of what we've seen over the years.
And when you say like this was built from Peter, it's 100% true. And it started with the signing of Manny Machado, and then it led into Fernando Tatis Jr. blossoming, and then it led into big-time spending, and then it led into A.J. Preller making these trades, and Joe Musgrove, and then the postseason appearances, and so forth and so forth. And, you know, he had a vision of this town after the team that we shall not name left becoming a baseball city. And it is absolutely a baseball city now. No question about that. There is no doubt in anybody's mind that San Diego is a baseball city first. And when you look at the sports fabric of San Diego, it starts with the Padres. Now, it starts with the Padres. It didn't before, but it blossomed into that. And with more postseason appearances they have, with hopefully a World Series win that they have under their belts here pretty soon, it's just going to solidify that even more to where the foreseeable future in this city, maybe forever, maybe as long as we're around, will be a baseball town first. That's why I get like kind of annoyed. I'm like, guys, this city is baseball. Okay, that's what it is now. And it started with Peter building something, and then the fans jumping on board, and then the winning, and then the star players that came to town, and the big time trades. All of that has turned San Diego into kind of like a gem in like the baseball world.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's really preached that more than we have. I mean, we've routinely said it. The thing that San Diego has that even St. Louis doesn't have, even New York City or Los Angeles, San Diego is the only city in America with one Big Four team, and it's a baseball team.
Yeah.
The only city in America. So, of course, San Diegans have really rallied behind the Padres. Now, I thought the environment was intimidating last night, which was the point Michael King made before Game 1. He said, listen, it's going to be a tough situation to navigate if you're a pitcher, no matter your status. And they had that young pitcher. By the way, it's not like the Braves allowed 15 runs yesterday. I mean, they played well. It was a winnable game. They had tying runs at the plate a couple of times early. They never trailed by more than 4. They lose 4-0, obviously, in the game. But it's a tough environment to be a part of. Now, do I think Max Fried can handle it better than A.J. Smith-Shawver? Probably.
Yeah.
But he's got to go out and execute. And even yesterday, Padres have problems for opponent pitchers up and down the lineup, whether it's Luis Ariz or Fernando Tatis Jr. or Jackson Merrill or Manny Machado or more. So can Max Fried navigate it? Hopefully not from a Padres perspective. I think this game will be a competitive game. I haven't seen what the line is. I'm going to look right now. Last night, the Padres were a heavy favorite in Game 1, minus 190. Tonight, it's a coin flip. They're minus 120. So this is a 50-50 game from last night, and that's because of the pitching matchup and Max Fried.
Well, it was set up fail-proof yesterday.
Yeah. Yep.
That kid that went out there for the Braves, he was not going to succeed.
It was going to be tough.
It was going to be very tough. For everybody's nerves of, the Padres have faced no-name pitchers before. Look what happened there. First batter of the game, Luis Ariz. I'm like, they're not. This guy's not getting out of the minimum third inning, and he didn't get out of the second. 1 out in the second, and he's gone. Now they put up 3 runs early, but then they didn't score until the 8th inning with Higgy's home run. Their bullpen, the Braves bullpen, pitched very well. Being as far as being taxed, they pitched well. So they kind of gave themselves a good chance today by doing that. And we'll see what Max Fried does. But yeah, it's a game where a lefty on the mound just always scares me because this team this year against lefties, it's a different story than against righties.
Yep.
And when they brought in, I think his last name was Bummer.
He was good.
He was good. And he was a lefty.
He was a lefty, yep.
And kind of settled things down for the Braves. And I know Snicker even said during the broadcast that while they were down 3 runs, they felt good about themselves because they felt like they were still in the game. They just didn't realize Michael King was going to turn into like Cy Young last night, and he did.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you have Michael King pitch like that, you're not going to lose. I mean, you just needed 1 run, and they did that in the first inning. But you're right. I mean, I don't know if left-handed pitching plagued them in the second half like it did in the first. Actually, I do know. It didn't plague them near the same in the second half to the first, but it's a bit of an equalizer for San Diego, which is interesting because a year ago they actually hit left-handed pitching. This year they haven't hit left-handed pitching as well. I don't think it's the end-all, be-all tonight. I mean, you have Joe Musgrove on the mound. Hopefully that's more of the end-all, be-all. Hopefully Musgrove keeps you in the game.
Yeah.
And then maybe it has nothing to do with Max Fried. Maybe this is a close game late. You come through and capitalize. That's who the Padres have been, obviously, here in 2024. All right, I promised San Diego State tickets. We promised San Diego State tickets for Saturday at 5 against the University of Hawaii at Snapdragon Stadium. Our pregame coverage will begin at 3. Me and Rich will have the call coming up at 5 p.m. If you want tickets, they are available at GoAztecs.com, or you could be caller 5 right now, and you have 2 free tickets to San Diego State and Hawaii Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium, conference opener for San Diego State. The number to call is 877-767-4760. Again, 877-767-4760. Caller 5. You have 2 free tickets to San Diego State and Hawaii Saturday night, Snapdragon Stadium at 5 p.m. Our pregame coverage will begin at 3 p.m. We'll hear from Dylan Cease on the other side. He has spoken with the media. Whether he pitches tomorrow or not, it'll be either tomorrow or potentially in an NLDS. But we'll hear from Dylan Cease coming up. We've got Darnay Tripp from NBC7 at 3:30 and Scott Miller from the New York Times at 4 p.m. It's Jon and Jim from the Naughty Barrel until 5:30 downtown at 9th and Market. Hopefully you can come join us. And hour 2 of Jon and Jim is on your way next.
This update's brought to you by Caltrans, cleancalifornia.com. Padres Braves game 2 tonight at Petco Park, 5:38 first pitch. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres against Max Fried for the Braves. Padres are looking to finish off this series and move on to the National League Division Series where they would face the Dodgers starting on Saturday up in L.A. Other scores around baseball today in the postseason. We have a team moving on, and it is the Detroit Tigers as they took down the Houston Astros today, 5-2. Josh Hader blew a lead in the 8th inning. Blew the game in the 8th inning, giving up 3 runs there. Tigers are moving on. And right now, the Kansas City Royals have a 1-0 lead over the Orioles, top 5 there in Baltimore. Imagine a photograph of your favorite place in California, then right in the middle of it, one piece of litter. Litter has no place in our lives, not one piece. Together, let's change that. Clean California, zero litter is the goal. CleanCA.com.
It's showtime, folks!
Let the playoffs begin. We're breaking down the MLB wildcard round live with the faithful at Naughty Barrel, 844 Market Street, leading you right up to first pitch. Now, it's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 2, Jon and Jim. We are with you until 5:30. Naughty Barrel downtown here in San Diego. Great show lined up over the next couple of hours. We started at 2. We're getting you ready for Game 2 between the Padres and the Braves. We will hear shortly from Dylan Cease. We will have Darnay Tripp on the show from NBC7, friend of the show. He will join us coming up at 3:30. Scott Miller is going to join the show as well, New York Times. He was down there last night. Darnay was down there last night. Scott Miller will join us coming up at 4 p.m. If there is a game tomorrow, hopefully there isn't.
Yeah, no.
If there is a game tomorrow, hopefully there isn't, we'll be back here from the Naughty Barrel 3 hours before first pitch. Whenever first pitch is, they can move it around depending on if any other series are going on in baseball tomorrow.
So right now it's slated for 4:08
Correct.
First pitch. Yeah, we'll
But
be down. We'll be
could
down
be
here
moved.
if they win. Hopefully they don't. The Braves. 1 o'clock. But I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking about tonight. I'm thinking about Joe on the mound in a clinching game or a closeout game for the Padres. I'm thinking about continuing this role here in the postseason and moving on to face the Dodgers starting on Saturday. Where, I mean, that would be, again, electric. 3rd time in 5 seasons they meet in the postseason.
Yeah, that alone is amazing.
Yeah.
And they split the first 2 series.
Right.
Lost in Texas in the pandemic. In 2022, you know what happened, remember? Jake
think I do,
Cronenworth,
yeah.
awful lefty, by the way.
Yeah, I actually, I actually watched that inning last night on my phone on
2022.
Yeah. So I watched that inning last night where Kim had the big double over the third base bag, and then you had Soto tie the game up with a hit to right, and then Cronenworth with 2 outs, 2 strikes, hit the ball up the middle. Padres get the lead. Just brings you chills when you look at that. And I was like, wow, that was one of the best moments I can remember that I've been to a sporting event in a long time.
But I'm kind of thinking right now about Jake Cronenworth against a left-handed pitcher. They slot him down. He's continued to get worse against left-handed pitching in his career. I know that. I mean, he was really bad against left-handed pitching this year, like really bad.
Yeah.
And he's in the lineup, though, and he plays every single day. And there were, remember, advocates for platooning Jake Cronenworth in the second half of the year, but he's been able to maintain that job. Now they keep dropping him down the lineup. At the beginning of the year against the lefty, he'd be batting 3rd. Now he's batting 8th. We'll see if he can come through in some meaningful way against Max Fried. I think you talked about it last night. I mean, there's some guys in this lineup that have had success against Fried. Nobody's had 50 plate appearances or even 30 plate appearances. I think Manny Machado's had 18 plate appearances. He's 1 of 14 with some walks off Max Fried. But Fried changes the equation for me. This is where Musgrove has to be good because I think Fried is capable of being good. I didn't think King had to be perfect last night because of the circumstance with who was starting opposite King yesterday, A.J. Smith-Shawver. Where Joe Musgrove, I'm not saying he has to be perfect tonight, but Max Fried's capable of going 6 or 7 innings. If Joe Musgrove, if you fall behind against Max Fried, it's a lot different than falling behind against A.J. Smith-Shawver.
See, I actually think Michael King did need to be perfect last night.
Did or did not?
Did not.
That's what I said.
Oh, okay, I thought you said he did.
No, he didn't.
Oh,
No,
absolutely.
Sorry,
I misheard you there. Yeah, he did not have to be perfect last night, and instead he was perfect last night.
Yeah.
I think tonight you're going to need Joe to match zeros with Fried if Fried's going to go out there and pitch a really good game.
Which he's capable of.
Now, Max Fried has faced the Padres this year one time.
That's right.
He did not do well. 4 1/3, gave up 9 hits, 3 earned runs. He was out of the game in the 5th inning, and they looked really, really good against Max Fried. Jackson Merrill had 2 hits against him in that game, and they knocked him out of the game early for his standards.
Right. Yeah.
So does that play a role into tonight, knowing that they had success against him earlier this season and they saw him well? Maybe. But that was also like 4 months ago. So maybe both are true. Maybe they do feel confident against him tonight because they have seen him. But also things could have changed. And obviously things change every week. So when you talk about months, of course things are going to change. And for the Braves tonight, they're going to need a vintage Max Fried performance. They're going to need, in my opinion, at least 7 shutout. Like they need him to be an ace for them tonight. And truthfully, John, I don't know if he can do that because his postseason career numbers are not good.
Interesting. Do you know what he did his last time out in the regular season?
He hold on, let me check.
Well,
here.
I know. He went 8 2/3 shutout innings.
Okay.
So that's the last time he was on the mound. That wasn't the postseason. It was a game Atlanta needed to win. Do you know what Joe Musgrove has done since coming back?
Oh, I don't know. Just post like sub 2 ERA.
2.15.
Close.
So you've got, and by the way, Fried's numbers on the year are awesome. 3.25 ERA for a full season is a really good year. I mean, Joe Musgrove, again, he had the slow start.
Yeah.
Finished with a 3.88, but like Fried put together a full year. Now, does that matter? It is matchup dependent. You're right. And the fact that the Padres hit him well 4 months ago, Mark Nimitz is in the house.
Okay.
What's up, Mark? How are you, man? Grab a kombucha. He's looking at me like I'm a crazy person.
Yeah.
The fact that I think the matchup and the head-to-head is more important than what Max Fried has done in the season. It's what have the Padres done against Fried? And some of these guys have had some success against him. And then the other side of it is what has Musgrove done against guys like Marcell Ozuna, Ozzy Albies, Jorge Soler, Matt Olson, etc.
Do you have that in front of you?
I do. I mean, Ozuna has 1,000 OPS off him in 20 plate appearances.
Okay.
And then you've got Adam Duvall, who in 10 plate appearances has an 1,100 OPS off him.
Now, I don't think Duvall in the lineup tonight.
I don't know if he is or not.
Well, the lineups are out.
Yeah.
Let me just pull this up here. Tonight's Braves lineup, John. You got Michael Harris leading off. Ozzy Albies at second. Marcell Ozuna is their DH. Matt Olson, Jorge Soler, Ramon Laureano, Gio Urshela, Sean Murphy's behind the plate, and Orlando Arcia.
So
pretty
he's
much
not.
Exactly the same lineup.
Yep.
As last night, just switching out the catchers there.
I think this is a more stressful game. I think the Padres find a way. I think this is more vintage Padres where they deal with adversity and they prove people wrong and maybe they go down a run or maybe it's tied for a while. But I'm going to trust in the Padres pulling this game out. I'm not expecting it to be as stress-free as last night.
I am with you 100%. I think tonight is when like the real postseason stuff begins. You know, they had every advantage going into last night's game with the Braves coming off a doubleheader, with them pitching a 21-year-old kid. Like it just felt like everything was in the Padres' favor, and to their credit, took advantage of it because you can go into a game with everything in your favor and you still could lose, but they went in there. Michael King pitched amazing. Toddy had the big timely hit. And that's what wins you postseason games, and they did that last night. Tonight, it feels more like a traditional, like stressful postseason type of matchup where you got 2 really good pitchers on both sides. One team's fighting for their lives, the other team's hoping they can advance here and avoid a decisive game 3 tomorrow night. Tonight feels like the beginning of it, right? Like last night was the quote official beginning of the postseason. Tonight feels like there's going to be a lot of stress involved, and I'm with you. I think that we have to all be prepared for that.
Now, the math is the math.
The math
Game
is
one
math,
winners. Yeah. Game one winners in the history of the MLB postseason are 15-2. That includes today.
Yes.
And they may be 16-2 within the next hour. Kansas City has a slim lead on Baltimore, 1-0. That game's halfway home. They might be 16-2.
If the Royals win today, 1-0, winning
then
back-to-back
wouldn't score, right?
Back-to-back games, 1-0.
That's never happened in postseason history.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where we are. I mean, the math is the math. And if the Royals win, they may or may not, then teams that win game one would be 16-2 in 18 series. And that doesn't even make any sense.
No.
We'll see what the Mets do later today against Milwaukee, and we'll see what San Diego does here tonight at 5:38.
But it just shows you how crucial a game one is. You know,
Yes.
if the Padres win tonight, if the Royals win today, if the Mets also win today, the new format will be you have to win game one.
Yeah.
Like there's no other way to. You have to win game one. So I still feel very confident about this team. I think the Braves are a good baseball team. They won 89 games this year for a reason. They have scary parts of their lineup, like Marcell Ozuna tonight. He could go off.
Mhm.
You know, he's had good career numbers against Joe Musgrove. So I'm nervous, but I'm excited. I think the Padres are ready. I think that, I've already picked them in this series to advance, and I don't think that's going to change even if they lose tonight in my mind, truthfully.
No, here's my thought on tonight. That the reason why it's close to a must-win is, does anyone want to deal with the stress of a game three?
No.
And I know Dylan Cease has been very good for this team. I mean, he really has. But I don't even know what the Braves are doing in that spot. They might turn around. I'm assuming they throw Ronaldo Lopez, who had an amazing year, 25 starts, a 2.00 ERA.
I would think so too.
Yeah, he doesn't have the name of Dylan Cease, but he put together a tremendous year. And I think, again, all the momentum flips to Atlanta if they get to a game three.
You do?
Completely. All the momentum in the world would be on Atlanta's side. They would have gotten it to a third game. They're a win away from the upset, moving on. That's how I would see it. I think right now San Diego has all the momentum in the world. I think if the series gets tied up, I think it swings completely the other way to Atlanta.
See, I think it depends on how tonight's game goes.
I mean, if they win, they win, right?
If they win, yeah, you are going to a decisive game three, but I wouldn't say that the entire momentum shifts to Atlanta. I think that the pressure would definitely be on the Padres, but I don't think momentum shifts.
Well, whatever. There'd be more pressure on the Padres.
Yeah,
That's
I agree with
semantics.
that. I agree with that. Momentum,
Yeah.
no.
Well, there's no such thing. But the
Yeah.
pressure
Yeah.
from how you feel today, which is probably loose and free if you're San Diego, to how you feel tomorrow, I don't feel loose and free tomorrow if there's a third game.
Well, maybe they do feel loose and free, and the fans are just sitting here like freaking out.
Not if there's a third game.
We know Mike Schilt's team. They're going to go into every single game expecting to win. I mean, tonight, John, they're trying to win the baseball
It's true.
game.
I mean, but
Mike
okay.
Schilt said.
But, no, that's fair. And Mike Schilt has brought a lot of teams to postseasons,
Yeah.
but he hasn't. It's not like he guided the Cardinals to World Series.
No,
when he
but
was
he's
there.
guided them to NLCSs.
Yeah. Was it one?
One LCS,
Yeah.
and he had 3 seasons there. Well, 2.5.
But 3 postseasons.
3
runs.
postseasons and 1 NLCS trip. The thing with the Padres here is regardless of, I'm not saying regardless of what happens tonight, but winning tonight is sets everything up where you can use Cease game 1 at Dodger Stadium. If you have to use Cease tomorrow, then it kind of changes things.
Mm-hmm.
So your rotation, how it's lined up now, going into the next round, winning tonight makes it even more better going into the Dodger series. You lose tonight, you got to use Cease tomorrow, all hands on deck. Then going into the Dodger series, you would have Darvish game 1, but then obviously game 2, probably Michael King, and I think you would want to get Cease in there for at least game 1 or game 2.
And again, if you can get there, you get there. If you had to use Dylan Cease and Yu Darvish to get there in game 3,
Right.
It's still about getting there. We'll hear from Dylan Cease coming up, and then Darnay Tripp from NBC7 will join us at 3:30. We're at the Donnie Barrel, where happy hour begins at 4. First pitch is at 5:38. Whether you have tickets or not, they'll have the game on, of course, right here at the Donnie Barrel 9th and Market, or join us here before you make your way in with first pitch 2 hours and 20 minutes away. Game 2, the Padres can clinch a wild card series against Atlanta with a victory here. We'll hear from Dylan Cease. He either pitches tomorrow or he pitches Saturday. We'll hear from Dylan Cease on the other side. Darnay Tripp at 3:30. It's Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it is Jon and Jim. We've been telling you about our friends over at Jamul Casino, which is the perfect spot to get to throughout the MLB postseason. They've got the games on, of course, and throughout football season as well. In fact, if you join them on Monday nights, you've got a chance to win big with Monday Night Live $100,000 Punch-Out.
Yeah, John, with 10 winners every hour at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m., your odds are better than ever. Plus, you can earn entries all month long by playing and getting two-time entries on Tuesdays with at least $500 in cash for all winners. And a chance to win up to $100,000 in cash.
All right, so you're going to love their food, Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. You'll love all the televisions and the drinks as well. They also have endless dining 5 nights a week. What does that mean? We're talking about a Saturday surf and turf buffet as part of their 5 nights a week endless dining. They've gone over the top. You need to see it. Succulent steaks, delectable seafood, and more.
Yeah, get to Jamul Casino all football season long, including every Monday night for Monday Night Live $100,000 Punch-Out. Jamul Casino, it's fun above all else.
It's the playoffs, and we're at Naughty Barrel, 844 Market Street, breaking down the MLB postseason live with the people. Now we get back to Jon and Jim.
All right, Johnny Tripp is going to join us momentarily, actually at 3:30 from NBC7. He's been inside Petco Park the last 2 days. We also remind you that the Aztecs are back at Snapdragon Saturday. Mountain West Conference opener against Hawaii. Pregame with Ben Fletcher, J.R. Tolver at 3. Rich and I have the call at 5 right here in your home of the Aztecs. San Diego Sports 760. Should we hear from Dylan Cease? Was this today? Yeah, he spoke with the media today, right?
He spoke with the media today, yeah.
All right, let's hear from Dylan Cease. He spoke for about 6 or 7 minutes. We're going to play a portion of that conversation with the media right now. Here's Dylan Cease.
I'm pretty much just preparing every day like I would prepare for a start. So I feel like if I'm mechanically in a good spot and, mentally prepared and kind of know what pitches I need to execute and where, then it doesn't really matter when I pitch.
Can you go into the impact that Joe Musgrove has had on you and kind of just welcoming you here and what he's meant, maybe not in terms of what he has done on the mound, but just what he does for you guys in the clubhouse?
Oh yeah, he's been huge. I mean, he's the definition of a leader. As soon as I got here, he showed me around. He's, helped, I guess, assimilate me into the ball club and how things are done. And even just beyond that, he's been a great friend.
Different pitchers throughout the year praise Ruben Niebla and the impact he's had on them. In your first year here, has he done anything different from other pitching coaches you've had in the past? And if so, how's that helped?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think the biggest thing is he's really showed me a couple different pitches and pitch grips. So he's, kind of tinkered on my repertoire a little bit. And other than that, I think he's just, he's good on the psychological aspect of the game, and then he's also good on the mechanical. So that's a big part of pitching. And I think as our relationship and as he's gotten to know me more, as that's been built, he's kind of, been able to figure out different ways to help me as the season's gone on.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Couple lighter ones. Were there any pitchers when you were growing up who you really loved watching and kind of tried to model your game after as a kid?
Yeah, I always liked the power guys. I liked Randy Johnson, Pedro, John Smoltz, but I always wanted to be a power hitting shortstop, so I was more focused on that.
And I know it's going back a while now, but do you remember kind of the first thing you did with the team when you got to Korea after flying over on yourself? Kind of, was it at the hotel? Was it on the bus?
It was the hotel, just a team breakfast. And then other than that, I think it was mainly just being at the field.
Go to Tony here on the left side, second row.
So let's go back to, when you first arrived in Korea. I remember sitting on the bus with a bunch of you guys, and there was a sense of relief, it seemed like, flowing off of you. Going from the organization in which you came to this one, just talk about that transition and how it's affected you this year.
Yeah, well, that was last offseason. There were trade rumors every day. So I guess just being placed somewhere and having those be behind me was nice. And then, coming to an organization that has such a high commitment to winning and trying to get to the World Series and win the World Series. It was very refreshing, and just happy to be here.
From Korea to either a Game 3 starter or a Game 1 NLDS starter.
The upgrade
from the White Sox
to this.
I mean, the White Sox, historically bad, drew no one, second team in their own market, to improbable run, 93 wins, playing here in front of 47,000 people every night. Yeah, that's an upgrade.
A little bit of an upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of an upgrade. He is a frontline starter. We talked about it at the start of the season when I was like, man, they got an ace. People were pushing back like, are you serious? You had a 4-something ERA last year. I'm like, guys, stop. This guy's stuff is ace stuff. He was on the worst team in baseball last year. And, oh, my God, he put up a 4-something ERA. Like, just give me a break. He was second in Cy Young voting a couple years ago. This season throws the no-hitter. Like, their rotation is, to me, the best in the postseason of any team. I would take this rotation over anybody. I know the Phillies are up there as well, but I just look at the depth they have. I mean, Michael King, he was coming into the season their third. He wasn't even in Korea. He pitched out of the bullpen. He was like their third, fourth starter.
Mm-hmm.
He was legitimately their fourth starter. And then he became the Game 1 starter here at Petco, and he put together that performance last night. When you have that dude to start your season, who is your fourth starter, pitching Game 1 of the postseason for you, that to me just shows how deep their rotation is. And even if it wasn't Dylan Cease tomorrow, if it was you, Darvish, like they're so interchangeable. They all could be number one guys.
I think it is actually very similar to your point to Philadelphia, and you could absolutely make the argument that San Diego's rotation is as deep or as good as Philadelphia's, and that would be a fun conversation if they do square off again. I mean, they met in 2022. Of course, we'd be getting way ahead of ourselves, but Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola and Sanchez and Ranger Suarez, I mean, that's similar to me. But the difference to me between the 2022 postseason Padres and the 2024 postseason Padres is their rotation. I just think it's deeper. Now, it doesn't mean that they're going to get to the NLCS or get to the World Series or win it, but I do think their rotation is deeper than it was in 2022 in October. Therefore, that's the difference for me. The difference between 2022 and 2024 is the Padres rotation. I think it's better this year than it was in 2022. Will they be rewarded for it by advancing and making that deep run? We'll find out in the days and weeks ahead, so we'll see. Darnay Tripp is going to join us in 5 minutes. I'm not sure if he's inside the ballpark right now or not, but he's been there this afternoon. Darnay Tripp, NBC7.
He was working last
on
night.
Friar podcast. He did an 11:35 p.m. YouTube stream. How'd that go, Darnay? I'm going to ask you as the first question.
I almost joined. I wanted to join, but I was like, it's too late.
So Darnay Tripp will join us on the other side. Also still to come, we've got Rocktoberfest tickets to give away. That's coming up October 12th, the brand new Front Wave Arena in Oceanside. We have Iron Maiden tickets to give away for North County Credit Union Amphitheater. And we have Scott Miller from the New York Times on the show as well at 4 p.m. We are at the Naughty Barrel, downtown San Diego, on this gorgeous day for Game 2, Padres and Braves in the wild card round. Darnay Tripp, friend of the show. He will join us next. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Caltrans, CleanCalifornia.com. Padres and Braves, Game 2 tonight. Padres have a 1-0 series lead. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres against Max Fried for the Braves. Looking around baseball right now, a couple scores that have gone final. Actually, one score gone final. The Tigers are moving on to the ALDS as they took down the Houston Astros today. Royals and Orioles are knotted up at 1, top of the 6th inning there, and the Braves and Mets get underway in about an hour in Milwaukee. Imagine a photograph of your favorite place in California, and right in the middle of it, one piece of litter. Litter has no place in our lives. Not one piece. Together, let's change that. Clean California, zero litter is the goal. CleanCA.com.
Baseball's postseason is underway, and we're live at Naughty Barrel previewing the action with the Fanatics. Now back to Jon and Jim.
All right, here until 5:30, Jon and Jim with you for the next 2 hours from the Naughty Barrel downtown. Darnay Tripp, friend of the show, NBC7. He's been inside Petco Park each of the last 2 days. Before we get to Darnay, Brian Snicker did confirm today that Ronaldo Lopez would start a Game 3 if there is a Game 3 in San Diego. He'd also be used in case of an emergency tonight, potentially for Atlanta. So, Darnay, you were inside yesterday. You've been here for some of these recent postseason runs. What was it like, atmosphere-wise, game-wise, experience-wise, being inside yesterday? And thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, of course, anytime, and it was awesome. It was electric. It was exactly what you expected it to be. Obviously, there's been so much anticipation for this, even going back to last season, just kind of the disappointment and the struggle to now put together the type of season they had. Obviously, the fan base was ready for them. Just the ovation that everybody got down the line, I think, was really, really cool in pregame introduction. And it was funny kind of how it built. In these playoff type games, all the pregame stuff starts so early, so people aren't necessarily in their seats. But once they got to like the Padres players and the starting lineup, the place was full, the towels were out, seeing the reception they got when they took the field. And then obviously when Tatis homers, like he kind of blew the roof off the place. And then seeing it in the evening as well with the towels, Robert Flores coming out, the final out, like so many really, really cool moments. And there's just a feel and a look of a stadium during the postseason that's different, even at a place like Petco Park that has sellouts on such a regular basis.
How scary is this team if you're going to have Michael King pitch like that and you haven't even seen Musgrove or Cease or Darvish yet?
Really, really scary. And I had another friend of your program on, Kyle Glazer, and he talked about that as well. Just like it's probably the best, staff in Major League Baseball in the postseason right now. And you saw it with Michael King. Obviously, Dylan Cease has Cy Young caliber stuff. Joe Musgrove, Darvish. I mean, go down the line. Guys that are proven, they're veterans, all-stars, pitching at a really, really high level. And to have King start the way that he did, to build on what he did during the regular season, I think that was kind of my question with him and Cease to a degree is they haven't really been tested in the postseason, at least in recent seasons. And for him to pitch the way that he did out of the gate and really feed off the crowd and the environment and the high stakes, I think was really, really encouraging. I've got to imagine, he settles in even more now having that under his belt.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Darnay Tripp is with us, NBC7 on Friar podcast. How does tonight feel to you as opposed to yesterday, just from a matchup perspective? I mean, you had the young starter, the 21-year-old A.J. Smith-Shaw for obviously his advantage San Diego last night. Tonight, it's a little different. I mean, Musgrove's been terrific, but Max Fried is one of the top pitchers in the National League. So how do you look at tonight compared to what happened last night?
And not just one of the top pitchers in the National League. I think he's one of those guys that when we see his name, going up against the Padres, we all kind of let out a collective groan, right? Because he's been one of the dudes that's just been consistently really good against the Padres. I think it's 5 starts, a 2.30 ERA. There's obviously the history too. And whenever you have a guy that was in the Padres system, those guys seem to torment the Padres a little bit. And yeah, it's a different story. That's playoff baseball, right? Like depending on what happens or depending what the matchup is on a given night as far as the pitchers go, like that completely changes the calculus going from a young guy with basically no experience to a pitcher that has done it against the Padres and has been in these types of games before. So I think you have to go into it completely different expectations. But look, is there anybody that we don't feel confident, about when the Padres are facing them? If it's a pitcher, if it's a team, they've been so proven. They've been proven against good teams, against good arms. So whereas in the past, you feel like you see Max Fried and you're like, I don't know, we'll see. I think there's probably a little bit more confidence and a little bit more belief going into it this time around, but also knowing it's Max Fried. It's not going to be easy. And for that reason alone, you could kind of see this one going either way.
Darnay, you've been in there and you've talked to these guys and you've been in the press conferences of late, and we've heard it all as well. It feels like the overarching Peter Seidler effect here is really hitting home. Like, it doesn't feel like eyewash at all. It feels like this is a genuine thing that this team is rallying behind. And of course, they've rallied around it all year long, playing for Peter, doing it for Peter. Like, it feels even more so right now in heading into the postseason and into this postseason run, right?
Definitely. I mean, there's no question about it. And look, these guys are being asked about it, and you could certainly understand why. And so you have these big narratives, these storylines that follow a team into the postseason, and Peter Seidler is maybe, chief among that period, when it comes to the franchise and the season as a whole. And I think what has been interesting and what has been consistent is just you get one heartfelt answer after heartfelt answer. And Tatis saying what he said about his experience with Peter Seidler last night and him being by Tatis' side after surgeries. If we recall back to the offseason where Tatis was going to return from, the injury and the suspension, how Seidler had his back and understood, like, hey, people make mistakes. You don't turn your back on these guys. And that means something to Tatis, that loyalty, that love that he felt. And then Mike Schilt talking about, I thought he had a really good line. He's part of the fabric of this team. And they're appreciative of that because it's such a powerful North Star for this club, how they treat one another, how they treat the fan base, and wanting to, continue Peter Seidler's legacy. To your point, it seems like a real genuine thing that up and down the line means something to everybody and probably means something to everybody in their own unique way.
Darnay Tripp with us right now, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. If the series did go 3 games, what would your level of confidence be at that point?
Well, you feel great with Dylan Cease on the mound. I think, look, whenever you're in one of these winner-take-all games, you can't be a little bit nervous, but I guess that's kind of what makes it fun. I just think this team has done a really good job of responding, of not getting too carried away with the circumstances. Talked about Mike Schilt's kind of boring approach, normalizing every game regardless of the circumstances and everything that's around it. And I think he's hammered that into the heads of these guys so much and to us as well that I think that's pretty well ingrained. And, Joe Musgrove talked about that as well. It's just like you can't get into the hype. You just got to treat it like a normal game. I would imagine that's what they would do in a Game 3 type of situation with a really talented pitcher on the mound in front of their home crowd. Again, nothing is guaranteed once you get to this point in the season, but not only the guys that they have, but just the mentality, their flair for the dramatic, the way they've gone about their business. I think you feel as comfortable as you can going into a winner-take-all type of game.
The Robert Suarez thing here, and by thing I mean just him closing out games and the nerves when he's out there, it seems like they're going to just roll with Robert when they have a lead late in the game, but there's still some nervousness there, right? When he's out there, like he had a clean inning last night as far as giving up no runs, but first batter, warning track to left, Matt Olson gets on base, it eventually in a 1-run game going down the line here, Robert Suarez in the game is going to, I feel very nerve-wracking.
And that's where Game 3 could be really interesting, right? If they, say they don't need him tonight, and obviously that wouldn't bode well for talking about a Game 3. Max Fried shoves, Padres have a tough time getting anything going. And, it's a 4-1 loss or something like that. We don't see Robert Suarez. Then, what happens? He's rested, so to speak. I think just based on what we've seen, there's no reason to think that Mike Schilt would change course unless he's got an easy out in terms of like a matchup or what have you, or he thinks in the 7th, 8th inning, it might behoove us to use Suarez in that situation. But he's been pretty consistent in terms of what he said and how he's used Robert Suarez, but there hasn't been a situation quite like that. I would guess like the Dodger game last Tuesday would maybe be the closest when they're trying to, punch their ticket to the postseason. He's in there and is bailed out by a triple play. So that's when it could get really, really interesting because all the while before this, it's just been like, okay, it's a big spot, but not necessarily a huge game. Season on the line, 9th inning, and you have to decide what closer. Doesn't get any bigger than that, and that's where it could get pretty interesting if it comes down to that. Whether it be Thursday or whether it be sometime next week against the Dodgers if they advance like I think we believe they will.
Darnay, final one for me would be on you, Darvish. In what circumstance do you think he could appear in either Game 2 or Game 3 of this series?
That's a great question. I mean, I kind of have a tough time envisioning it for Game 2. You know, Thursday. What would have to happen where he would no longer be available for a Saturday start? Because these guys have bullpens a couple days before, but it's not a live game setting. It's controlled and all that. I would think they want to avoid that as much as possible. And that's where I would think, you know, if you have a chance to get through a Game 2. But again, Mike Schultz manages every game to win that day, right? I mean, hasn't that kind of been his MO? And so if they feel like, hey, we're 1 or 2 Darvish innings away from winning a competitive game, maybe he would do that. But I would think, you know, that aside, it would be, you know, a break glass for, you know, in the case of emergency type of situation, so that he would then be available to start 1 or 2 at Dodger Stadium. But again, that's us looking ahead, and I don't think Mike Schultz necessarily manages that way. And to Jim's point earlier, they got a really, really good rotation. So if you do have to break the glass, it's not like you're running out of options going into LA. And I believe Mike Clevenger started Game 1 against LA in the NLDS. They still managed to take that series. So it's one game, but it's not the whole series.
How was the stream last night at midnight?
How was that midnight stream?
It was great. Yeah, we got way more viewers than you guys ever get. That's for sure.
Oh, okay.
Here's the
Maybe
deal.
We should stream
If you
midnight.
don't, if you do a
don't check the numbers. It was a good time. We
Okay.
had some folks in the chat. Actually, one person said they were watching the wrap-up show on delay, and they paused it to go watch the On Fryer live stream at 11:35. How about that? That made me feel
Love
all
it.
warm
Are you
and
gonna do
fuzzy
it?
inside.
Are you
Take
gonna
that,
do it
Jon
again?
Jim.
Are you doing it again tonight?
I don't think at midnight. You know what I'm probably going to do? When are you guys going? I'll probably go like a half hour before you guys go.
We're gonna go after the game. So you're gonna go
Immediately after?
mid-game? Yeah.
No, I was hoping you guys would stick to your normal 9:30 time slot, and I could upstream you at like 9 a.m. or something like that.
Well, here's the
Maybe
thing: if the game's gonna be like 2 hours long, like it was last night,
It's the postseason. You know, people want to react to it.
yeah, it's.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that had to have been one of the quickest postseason games that you've ever been at, right, Darnay?
It was stunning. Yeah, I was like, it got to be the 8th inning, and we had a newscast at 8. I'm like, oh wow, we're going to be done well in advance of this, and so we were on right after the game, which was really, really fun. But yeah, if you guys are going during the wrap-up show and it seems a little crowded in there, just send some folks our way.
I like it.
We'll do that.
By the way, quickest postseason game in 17 years. Last night, quickest
I mean,
major league game in the postseason
I'm here
in 17
for it.
years.
I'm here for it.
Yeah, no doubt. Darnay, appreciate it, man. Great stuff. We'll catch up with you again soon, and thanks for hopping on.
Thank you.
All right, great stuff. Darnay Tripp, NBC7 on Fryer Podcast. We'll hear from Mike Schilt on Joe Musgrove's return off the IL here over the last 6 weeks or so. Mike Schilt commenting on that. You'll hear from him coming up next. Plus, Scott Miller, New York Times contributor, great baseball writer. He will join us at 4 p.m. He's here in San Diego for this series. We're here until 5:30. Naughty Barrel, downtown San Diego. Happy hour gets underway at 4. We're on the air until 5:30. Come join us, 9th and Market. This is Jon and Jim.
work out longer?
It's the playoffs, and we're at Naughty Barrel, 844 Market Street, breaking down the MLB postseason live with the people. Now we get back to Jon and Jim.
All right, here at Naughty Barrel until 5:30, Jon and Jim. We've got Scott Miller, New York Times, joining us at 4 p.m. Do want to remind you, hit us up in the talkback mic. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, listen to San Diego Sports 760, and tap that little microphone icon next to the play button to leave a 30-second talkback. We'll hear from Mike Schill. Do we have that, Brent? Okay, so let's hear from Mike Schill. So this is on Joe Musgrove, who starts tonight in Game 2 in less than 2 hours. This is Mike Schill on Joe Musgrove's patience in returning from the IL.
Yeah, Joe's a pedal to the metal kind of guy, getting after it. And so rightfully he was agreeable to take a little step back and not to say, and again, I can't speak for him clearly about how he feels with his body, but he wanted to make sure he got it right and be able to, when he came back, be able to get to the point where he is now. So I applaud him for that.
How much of a luxury is it to have Joe back and to be pitching like this when 2 months ago, I think we were all saying, I think we were sitting right here at Naughty Barrel talking to Kevin like, hey, man, if he comes back, whatever he can give this team, you'll take it.
Well,
and now it's like, okay.
Remember those conversations from May going all the way back? We're like, I mean,
I didn't even expect him to come back at all.
Yeah, I mean, you said, I agree with you. Like anything would be basically like a complete bonus.
Complete gravy.
Complete gravy. And now he's basically like the ace of the staff.
Yeah, Game 2 starter
Easily
in the
could have
postseason.
been a Game 1 starter easily.
He could have
based on his
easily.
last 9 starts.
That's what's so great about this rotation is every single one of these guys could easily be the Game 1 starter, and nobody would have a problem with it at all.
Right.
And the key to this run or this hopeful run for this team was reliant on how their pitching was going to be heading into the postseason.
Completely.
And it relied on the health, now looking back on it, of Joe and Darvish. If those two guys were injured going into this postseason, I wouldn't have felt as confident as I do right now. Like if you had to put in
nowhere close.
If you had to put in Randy Vasquez or Matt Waldron and
Martin
Perez, along with Michael King and Dylan Cease, I wouldn't feel the way I do now with these two guys back. Man,
you can't even compare it.
Can't even compare.
Again, in the postseason, your rotation is everything. If you can have a 4+ man rotation for a best of 5 or best of 7 series, that's the separator.
Yep.
Like all teams have one good pitcher in the postseason. Tariq Skubal's on the Tigers. How do they do in a 5-game series when he doesn't pitch 3 of the 5 games? How do they do in a 7-game series when he doesn't pitch 5 of the 7 games? That's the big differentiator. San Diego does not have a weakness in a 5-game or 7-game series because of their top 4 starters. I would have argued, and I said this 10 minutes ago, that in 2022 they had significant weaknesses in their rotation.
They did.
I mean, Mike Clevenger and Sean Manaea were nothing compared to where Joe Musgrove and Michael King are right now.
Yeah, they had a great 1-2-3, and in a 5-game series, that's really good because all you need to do is win 3 of the 5.
Mm-hmm.
But when you get to that 7-game series, if one of your top starters loses and you have to rely on your number 4, who is a Clevenger or Manaea or just, a guy that you don't really trust. I mean, nothing against Martin Perez, but if it was Martin Perez, that's scary. And now going to the postseason with this staff, I bet you if you ask anybody at Petco Park, this is the most confident they've felt in maybe, going into a postseason series that they've ever felt.
Yeah, I mean, again, this reminds you of some of the deeper teams in Padres history, and there aren't a million that we're going back to. I mean, they've only been in the postseason 9 times. They've only made deep runs, arguably 2.5 times. I mean, 2 World Series and a championship series. So, the teams we're talking about, 2022 had a chance to get to a World Series. They were a favorite in the National League Championship Series. Pitching didn't hold up. Philadelphia was more clutch. In 1998, you had a team that was 40 games over 500 at one point that had a deep rotation that got to a World Series. 1984, you're going back 40 years. But, I mean, you can put this team on a hand in terms of other teams that have had a chance in Padres history to make a deep playoff run. This would be on that list of 2 to 4 teams that have had that chance.
Like, tonight will be difficult. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. Like, last night wasn't easy, but last night every single thing was in the Padres' favor. Tonight, it will be more difficult going up against Max Fried, no doubt about it. But I tell you what, John, this pitching staff, if it stays healthy, I tell you what, I think tonight and heading into the rest of the postseason, there's no other pitching staff that I would want than the Padres. With King, Musgrove, Cease, Darvish.
Sure.
You throw anybody out there, I feel as confident as ever against whoever that they face. I don't care. Go up against anybody. The Padres' top 4 starters, to me, best in baseball right now in the postseason.
It could very well be. Now, I would say this. We've said this a lot, and you can't look ahead. We don't know what happens today or tomorrow. If they do get to the National League Division Series, you're right. I think the Padres have a better rotation than L.A. You know who's going to be favored in the series?
The Dodgers.
Whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Let's just lay it out there. I mean, I'm not saying the Dodgers are going to win the series. I think it would probably be a really good series. The Padres are fully capable of winning. But the truth is the path to winning a World Series likely includes the Padres as underdogs in the DS, CS, and arguably, depending on who they play, including the New York Yankees, the World Series.
Right.
So, again, that's the hurdles you're trying to overcome. But what gives you a chance to equalize there is your rotation.
Yeah, and the rotation, along with the bullpen, too, which we haven't mentioned today because Michael King was so fantastic last night.
We talked about Suarez a little bit.
We did.
Yep.
And Jason Adam was brilliant.
Great inning. Yep.
Struck out the side last night in the 8th. And for me, like when I watched last night's game, I didn't feel like this was a flash in the pan. I felt like it was the start of something really special because of how just kind of dominant they looked. Like it was a free and easy, no stressful playoff win where in the 8th inning, you have Jason Adam, who has been one of the best relievers in baseball this year. And then right behind him, you got Tanner Scott and Robert Suarez, who has been shaky, but still, like, good luck if you get to the 7th or 8th inning and you're trailing. I think I saw a stat today that, let me pull this up.
33-1 after 8.
33-1 after 8, but what was the context to that?
Second half of the year, maybe, or since the deadline?
Yeah, here we go. So, since the All-Star break, the Padres have been nearly unbeatable when leading after 8 innings. They're 33-1 during that time, and now 1-0 in the postseason. And the one loss was the Suarez game.
Suarez, yeah. I mean, honestly, that's not that atypical for a really good team. I mean, you shouldn't be losing a lot of games with leads into the 9th inning. So, yeah, hopefully that holds up. I mean, if they can keep that winning percentage up in the postseason, then they've got a chance to make a run in the postseason. Scott Miller's going to join us on the other side. Get to the Naughty Barrel. Happy hour begins in 5 minutes. Drink specials here. We're at 9th and Market. So many Padres fans. Yesterday, I saw 2 people wearing Braves jerseys. Today, I've seen a total of 0. So it's going to be 99.999% Padres fans tonight, Game 2, San Diego going for a clincher behind Joe Musgrove. We'll talk about it with Scott Miller, New York Times contributor. He'll join us on the other side. We're at the Naughty Barrel until 5:30, leading up to Game 2, right here on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Caltrans CleanCalifornia.com. Padres Braves Game 2 tonight at Petco Park, 5:38 first pitch. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres against Max Fried for the Braves. Other scores around baseball today in the postseason. The Kansas City Royals lead the Baltimore Orioles right now 2-1, bottom 7 there. The Detroit Tigers, they are moving on as they beat the Houston Astros. They swept them in 2 games. They're moving on to the ALDS. And Mets Brewers gets underway in Milwaukee in about 40 minutes from now. Imagine a photograph of your favorite place in California, and right in the middle of it, one piece of litter. Litter has no place in our lives. Not one piece. Together, let's change that. Clean California, zero litter is the goal. CleanCA.com.
It's showtime, folks!
Let the playoffs begin. We're breaking down the MLB wildcard round live with the faithful at Naughty Barrel, 844 Market Street, leading you right up to first pitch. Now, it's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 3, Jon and Jim with you until 5:30 p.m. Getting you ready for Game 2. Padres and Braves from inside Petco Park on the spectacular day downtown where the temperatures are in the mid-70s. Once again, not a cloud in the sky. And it's great to welcome back to the show Scott Miller, contributor for the New York Times. I know he was inside the building yesterday because I heard you during the press conferences last night, Scott. So we appreciate you joining us, as always, throughout the course of the season. So let's actually start with last night. I mean, you've seen a lot of postseason baseball over the years. How dominant was Michael King in his performance, the 12 strikeouts, no runs in the Padres 4-0 win? And thanks for joining us.
Nice to be with you guys, Jon Jim. And, yeah, it's hard to figure out a performance more dominant than what you saw from Michael King. I mean, you know, the strikeouts, and he didn't allow many base runners. And when he did allow base runners, then he went to the strikeout. And you know, after the game, it was interesting because, you know, everybody knows the Braves played the doubleheader on Monday, and their pitching is shredded. And, you know, they started the rookie last night, and you know, he went one inning, and then that was it. So after the game, you know, it was interesting because the tack that the Atlanta reporters were taking in the interview room with Brian Snitker was, you know, basically like, oh, man, you know, it's tough to do anything given the state of your pitching right now. And, you know, the kid only lasted an inning, and you had to go back to your bullpen. And, you know, Snitker basically told them, he said, look, he said, it wasn't the pitching tonight. He said, we couldn't score a run. He said, our pitching was okay, and they kept us in the game, but he was thoroughly impressed with Michael King. He said, you know, it wasn't that, oh, they were tired because they were traveling or any of that. I mean, it was just Michael King dominated last night.
Yeah, and it's such a luxury to have Michael King, who is their number 4 starter to start the season, be the game 1 starter for the Padres. When you look at this rotation, Scott, I mean, it's hard pressed to say that anybody is better than maybe the Phillies, but I mean, this sets the Padres up to potentially make a long run here with the rotation they have 4 deep, right?
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, I'd say even beyond the rotation, just it's such a well-rounded team now. I know in the past there's been knocks on A.J. Preller for, you know, not being great at putting a roster together, and this year he's finally hit pay dirt. As you said, 4 starters going 4 deep. That's going to give you a chance to win any playoff series. The bullpen that they have with Adam, I know Suarez has been a little rocky lately, but Adam, Tanner Scott, Suarez, these guys, and others. I know when Detroit was in late in the season, you know, A.J. Hinch I talked to him for a long time before one of the games, and he was like, man, that bullpen's a killer. They're for real. And he was concerned the 3 games Detroit was in that they needed to have a lead after 6 innings because he was totally buying into the, you know, if you fall behind the Padres in the first 6 innings, that bullpen they have is going to shut the lights out. So the rotation, the bullpen, and then not least the lineup. The fact that they have the fewest strikeouts in the major leagues, to me, and I've always thought this, lineups without a lot of strikeouts play in October. I've seen so many teams dependent on the home run that strike out a lot. And I'm thinking in recent years, the New York Yankees, they fixed that some this year, which is interesting, with our old pal Juan Soto and others. But before this year, the last couple of years, you know, the Yankees would bludgeon you with home runs or they'd strike out a lot. Those teams always fall in October for a couple of reasons. One, you're not facing the Miami Marlins or the Chicago White Sox pitching staff anymore in October. You're facing legit pitching. And secondly, especially back east, the nights in October get cold. The ball doesn't travel as far. So to me, the teams in modern baseball that build their offenses on the slug and have a lot of strikeouts, those teams are vulnerable in October. I like the teams that are contact hitting teams that put the ball in play, and that's what the Padres have this year as well, in addition to the rotation in the bullpen.
I think it's really well said. Scott Miller, New York Times contributor, back with us here on Jon and Jim. Saying all of that, most teams have some weakness. Do you see what is the weakness? Where are the Padres susceptible along the way here in October?
Well, there's not a lot. And the other thing is there's no one great team out there. I mean, I'm sure you guys have talked a ton about, the Padres' 2 previous World Series appearances. Both times they played arguably a couple of the best teams in history. Those 1984 Tigers that got off the 35-5 start, and then the 98 the Yankees were one of the best teams ever. This year, there's not that one great team out. There's a lot of good teams, but everybody's flawed. I think the Padres have as few flaws as anybody. As I sit here today, I can't pick an obvious flaw for you to say, okay, that's their Achilles heel. I mean, I think that, if I'm looking at it, I'll give you one that I don't know if it's a flaw, but it's a challenge. Manny Machado has been terrific in his time here in San Diego. Now, around baseball, there's a lot of questions because Manny Machado has never been a winner, right? I mean, in Baltimore and that year with the Dodgers and with the Padres, he's never been a part of a team that wins it all. And that's one thing in his career. Manny Machado is going to go to the Hall of Fame, but he's kind of like Barry Bonds late in his career. Bonds didn't win a World Series. He needs to prove that one thing left on his resume is proving he can help lift the team and take it to the promised land. So I don't know that answers your question, that's like a flaw that could set, the Padres back. But I do think that's one angle that maybe tilts toward a flaw to see, let's see how Manny does and how he hits, and we know he's going to field. And that to me is as interesting as anything if you're looking for reasons like, well, why might San Diego not win it? Well, to me, there you go, and then there's a challenge for Manny.
Yeah, and hopefully that changes this year, and Manny helps lead them to a World Series. Scott, you were inside the ballpark last night. The atmosphere that it is here for postseason baseball, could you argue that it's the best atmosphere of any postseason team right now? And how much do you think that helps, the Padres here with the crazy fan base that is inside Petco every single night for the postseason games?
Yeah, I think it'll help. I mean, I think it's been pretty well established that home field advantage is not quite as important in baseball as it is in football and basketball because it's not quite the game of momentum that those sports are. But that said, the Padres absolutely have a home field advantage. The crowd, it was really loud. Yes, you can argue that it's as good an atmosphere, if not better, than anywhere else in the postseason baseball this year. In terms of helping the Padres, it wasn't. Michael King did it last night. It wasn't, but the crowd helped. And you look at yesterday's 4 wild card games. 3 of the 4 were won by the road team. The Padres were the only home team that won yesterday. So, I think there's a notch in favor of the fans and the atmosphere and how the Padres respond to it.
What do you think about tonight, Scott? Before you go, final one for me, just the matchup, Joe Musgrove, Max Fried. What are your thoughts on tonight's game?
Well, we know Musgrove likes the spotlight. We know he's stepped up big many times in the past. To me, this tonight and this series comes down to Max Fried, Atlanta starter. As I said, they've had a gauntlet of a schedule, doubleheader Monday, just to even get in this thing, fly across the country. They lose last night. So Max Fried, and then of course they were hoping to start Chris Sale yesterday, and his back went out. So given all of that and everything is going against the Braves right now, Max Fried is a legit starter. If he's on his A game, then it's going to be really tough for the Padres tonight. I'm not saying they can't beat him. I'm just saying if he's on his A game, it could be a 0 runs, 1 run, 2 run night, and they have to go from there. from Atlanta's perspective, that's what they've got to have because their pitching is been. And to me, Fried is their last best hope. If they can get a great outing from him tonight and steal a win, then that sets up craziness tomorrow because you never know what way the ball bounces in a elimination game. But if he's even a B plus instead of an A tonight, then the tonight.
All right, we're looking forward to it. See if the Padres can close out Atlanta in 2, which sets up Philly game 1 potentially in the National League Division. It should. San Diego survive Atlanta. Scott, we always appreciate your time. We know it's busy with it being October, and we appreciate you taking a few minutes for us.
All right, we're getting ready to get going here, Petco. Thank you.
All right, great stuff. Scott Miller, again, contributor for the New York Times. He didn't see the Padres.
I will push back on his take about Manny Machado.
What was the take?
That the weakness is he hasn't been able to elevate his team to win a World Series in his career, and that he hasn't been a part of the World Series winner yet. I'll push back on that with him. I don't really want to get into it with him there, but I'll just say that, Manny, while he has not won a World Series in his career, just because that has happened, I don't think that means he can't elevate his teammates. And it's also hard in baseball to be like, oh, this one guy can elevate your teammates. The only thing that I guess maybe if he said, yeah, Manny hasn't had a hot postseason where he's carried a team, yeah, you could argue that. But elevating your teammates,
it's hard to elevate. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, here's the truth. I mean, two things can be true. A, Manny Machado could absolutely win a World Series or more in San Diego. But also in his postseason career, he's hit 217. Add it all up, he's hit 217 with an OPS of 700. So that doesn't mean he's not capable of leading this team to a World Series or being on a team that wins multiple World Series from here on out. But I think both things can be true. He is a great player. Is he capable of providing more in postseasons? I'd love to challenge him to it. I hope he goes out and hits 5 home runs over the next 15 games,
Yeah, no, I agree with you. His postseason numbers aren't great, but you also have to look at when you get the opposing team, when you come in every single day to the ballpark, the pitching staff, what's one of the first things they probably go over every day, scouting report-wise? Manny Machado. So in a postseason, the emphasis on trying to get Manny Machado out is going to be heightened because he is in the middle of that lineup. He's cleaning up for the Padres tonight again. He's a guy that they circle on their board as like, okay, we need to do everything like we can as a pitching staff to make sure that this guy does not get going for them. And that's a credit to Manny Machado in his career being that guy and how much the pitching staff will make sure Manny Machado doesn't go off in a series against them.
Wouldn't we say the same thing about Bryce Harper?
I agree with you there, too. I'm not trying to – I get it.
It's like at the end of the day, Manny's a brilliant player, and we'd love to see him come through in a big spot in the postseason, whether it's in 2024 or beyond. I mean, Bryce Harper in his career has a 1,000 OPS in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Manny Machado's a 700. Those are just factual statements. It's just true. Bryce Harper's got a 1,000 OPS in the postseason in his career, doesn't have a World Series. Manny Machado is a 700 OPS in his career, doesn't have a World Series. So he's capable of performing better than he has, is the point.
And defensively last night,
he's a great defensive player.
I mean, he was great last night. I don't even think it's being talked about. The play he made to end last night's game was such a just like ho-hum, nonchalant, going to my right, falling off my back foot, throwing it almost 60 yards across the field, easy out to end the game. Like, he can still play elite defense for you and affect the game in other ways other than his bat.
But we need to see his bat affect.
I agree.
For them to win the World Series, hopefully he has a postseason where he hits better than his career averages in the postseason.
Yes.
All right, on the other side, we will get to the wrap. We're here until 5:30. The Naughty Barrel downtown, 9th and Market. What a day it is. Happy hour underway. Game 2 coming up in less than 90 minutes. This is Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it is Jon and Jim, and we are down here downtown getting ready, of course, for the postseason. Another great spot to watch postseason baseball is Jamul Casino. Whether it's postseason baseball or NFL football, they've got you covered. In fact, every Monday in September, you've got a chance to win big with Monday Night Live, not just September, all season long, with Monday Night Live, $100,000 punch-out.
Yeah, John, with 10 winners every hour at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 9 p.m., your odds are better than ever. Plus, earn entries all month long by playing and getting two-time entries on Tuesdays. Lose $500 in cash for all winners and a chance to win up to $100,000 in cash.
If you haven't been to Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, it is a great spot to watch all of the sport action. They've got great food as well. And then Jamul also has endless dining 5 nights a week. Their endless dining options include Saturday Surf and Turf Buffet. They've gone over the top with a perfect combination of succulent steaks, delectable seafood, and more.
Yeah, get to Jamul Casino all football season long, including every Monday night for Monday Night Live's $100,000 punch-out. Jamul Casino, it's fun above all else.
It's the playoffs, and we're at Naughty Barrel, 844 Market Street, breaking down the MLB postseason live with the people. Now we get back to Jon and Jim.
All right, we do have some tickets to give away. We'll give away tickets to Rocktoberfest in the next 7 minutes. This is Seether, Giovanni, and the Hired Guns at the brand new Front Wave Arena, Oceanside. Tickets on sale now, just $39. They're starting at $39. Go to AXS.com. So we'll give away those Rocktoberfest tickets at some point in the next 7 minutes or so. Why don't we do this? I don't even think we got to it yesterday. Are we good to go for the wrap, Brett? Can we do the wrap?
We're always good to go.
We're always good to go.
We're always good to go.
Let's do it.
Except for the one time I want to go.
It's time for the wrap, presented
Which is
by
it now?
Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Is tonight a must-win for the Padres?
I do not want a game 3. I don't want the uncertainty of a game 3. I love the Naughty Barrel. It's amazing. Unfortunately, I don't want to be here tomorrow because that means that they've moved on to the NLDS against the Dodgers. If we're here tomorrow, not going to be something that's it's going to be nerve-wracking. And so tonight feels like another must-win, especially in a short series. Longer series, you don't have to have that must-win games until you get to the elimination game or so forth and so forth. Game 5, tie 2-2, so forth. Tonight in a short series, don't let this thing drag on. Finish it tonight. End this thing. Send the Braves home. Move on to the NLDS.
Yeah, it's not a must-win, but it's a quasi-must-win, and I'll be honest, I'm not going to feel good if they lose this game. I just won't. I'm not going to pretend like everything is fine, and it's just going to be a coronation on their way to the NLDS. It won't be. It'll be complete drama is what it'll be, and you're going to be biting all your fingernails off. Tomorrow is what's going to happen. And Ronaldo Lopez, who would throw tomorrow, has a 2 ERA in 25 starts. So it's no formality if you lose today that you win tomorrow. So it's not obviously truly a must-win because your season is not on the line, but I think you need to treat it like a must-win, and that's how the Padres should treat tonight with Joe Musgrove on the mound. Next question.
Is the Pac-12 a top 5 basketball league in the country with the Zags and San Diego State?
Well, Dennis Dodd said to talking to people, he said it was the top 4 basketball league in college athletics. I think that, John Wilner, you sent me the tweet today because you know every single thing when it comes to college realignment. And what did he say? He said that the addition of Gonzaga changes the game, or it's like a game changer?
Basically, he said anything you heard previously about certain schools being off limits, that no longer applies. Here it is. Source on Pac-12 expansion. Gonzaga changed the chessboard, opened up some opportunities. Some of the schools previously linked to the conference are not fully off the table. So read into it as you wish.
The Gonzaga edition,
Memphis, UNLV,
feels like a bigger edition than really any college football program, truthfully, other than, a Power 5 school. But, it's
Gonzaga. Yeah,
Gonzaga is massive. Gonzaga it turned this into a basketball conference to me right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think if you looked at the metrics a year ago, this newly constituted league would be the 4th best league, better than the ACC and better than the Big East. So the 4th best league in the country, if it was a year ago, I think they're capable of getting 3 or 4 at-large teams per year on average out of an 8-team league right now. It's a very good basketball league. It would be among the better basketball leagues in the country, and I think that's going to benefit them well when they go to the media rights process. But it's going to be a very good basketball league. I know that. Next question.
Who's going to homer tonight for the Padres?
So in his career, John,
yeah,
Fernando Tatis Jr. in the postseason, he's hitting .320 with a .760 slug, 3 home runs, 7 RBIs, a 12-12 OPS.
Is that good?
My answer is Fernando Tatis Jr. Yes, that's good. The postseason, he shows up. He has big-time moments. I know the other big-time moments involved the 2020 year with no fans in the stands. But last night, first pitch home run, I'll take Tatis tonight.
Manny Machado will homer tonight for the San Diego Padres.
Okay.
Manny Machado will homer tonight for the San Diego Padres.
Bet everything on it right now.
He was hitless yesterday. He will homer tonight for the Padres. Next question.
What's Joe Musgrove's pitching line going to be?
I think I'm going to go 6 innings, 2 earned runs, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk.
Okay. I'll say better. 6 innings, 1 run, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. 6 innings, 1 run for Joe Musgrove. Now the question is, can Max Fried match that tonight with Atlanta or not? But Joe Musgrove will keep them in this game. He'll give them a chance to win.
Yeah. And the one thing that scares me is the lifetime career numbers that Marcelo Zuna has against Joe.
1,000 OPS, roughly.
So I am not looking forward to that matchup just because, he with one swing of the bat could change the game.
Yeah.
So I think Joe's going to give this team, obviously, a chance to win tonight, I believe. And I think he's going to get into the 6th inning. And if truthfully he can get through the 6th inning and the Padres have a lead, that's kind of the formula in a postseason series and game when you have the bullpen the Padres have.
And he's kind of the right guy, isn't he? He's pitched in clinches before. He's the San Diegan. He's wanted the ball in big games. He will get the ball tonight in a huge game For San Diego, win away from moving on to the National League Division Series. We promise Rocktoberfest tickets. First caller to 877-767-4760 is going to Rocktoberfest. This is Saturday, October 12th. Seether, Giovanni, and the Hired Guns, the brand new Front Wave Arena in Oceanside. Tickets on sale now starting at $39. Go to AXS.com. First caller to 877-767-4760 is going again to Rocktoberfest at the new Front Wave Arena. 877-767-4760. We have Iron Maiden tickets to give away. We'll do that between now and 5:30. We continue to get you ready for tonight. Padres can clinch and close out Atlanta. We are at the Naughty Barrel, 9th and Market. We're here until 5:30. That's when first pitch is. Don't go anywhere. This is Jon and Jim.
There we go. There we go. How you doing? This update is brought to you by CaltransCleanCalifornia.com. Padres and Braves game 2 is tonight at Petco Park. Padres are looking to beat the Braves and advance to the NLDS, where they would face the Dodgers this Saturday up in L.A. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres against Max Fried for the Braves. Again, first pitch, 5:38 at Petco Park. Other scores happening right now in the postseason and a final. The Royals are on top of the Orioles 2-1, top of the 9th inning there in Baltimore. The Tigers beat the Astros today, coming back from down a run in the 8th inning. They won 5-2. They're moving on to the ALDS. And Brewers and Mets are moments away from getting underway for Game 2 in Milwaukee. Imagine a photograph of your favorite place in California. Then, right in the middle of it, one piece of litter. Litter has no place in our lives. Not one piece. Together, let's change that. Clean California. Zero litter is the goal. CleanCA.com.
Baseball's postseason is underway, and we're live at Naughty Barrel previewing the action with the Fanatics. Now back to Jon and Jim.
All right, with you for another hour until 5:30. The Naughty Barrel is the place to be. 9th in Market on this just gorgeous day for baseball downtown San Diego. Braves Padres Game 2. Joe Musgrove, Max Fried. They do have happy hour underway until 6 p.m. They've got just incredible food. We've both been eating. I've had kombucha. This is the spot to be. And if you have tickets, get here before the game. If you don't have tickets, just get here and watch the game from downtown San Diego, 2 blocks away from Petco Park.
The place is packed. We've seen a bunch of listeners of the show and the wrap-up show. Shout out to you guys for stopping by and saying hi. The entire bar is filled with Padres fans.
That's right.
And you know how I know that? Everybody's wearing Padres gear.
Oh, yeah, that gave it away.
Yeah,
Man,
it did.
You should be a CSI investigator.
I'm just pointing out, every single person in the bar is wearing Padres gear. You love to see it. The place is jumping right now. Come on down. Happy hour is underway. John had a couple kombuchas already.
I had one.
Kombucha.
Yeah.
He had a tuna salad.
Actually, I had a non-alcoholic kombucha.
Non-alcoholic.
Alcoholic
Very,
kombucha.
very on brand for you.
Yeah.
I had the chicken tenders.
It's an alcoholic tuna salad, though.
Huh?
Nothing. I joked that John's tuna salad was alcoholic, though.
Oh,
yeah. My ahi tuna.
Yeah, and I had some chicken tenders coated in cornflakes. Delicious.
Very good.
Awesome.
Very good.
So get on down to Naughty Barrel. It's a fun time. Come on, say hi.
All right, so here's what's going on. As you said in the update, Tigers won, road team moves on, okay, the 6th seed. Royals, as the 5 seed, are 3 outs away from moving on. Mets, as the 6th seed, are 1 game away from moving on. And then you've got the Padres, who are the higher seeded team that's trying to hold serve. But that's what's going on in the baseball postseason. I like the take today from Dan Patrick. You could actually hear it on San Diego Sports 760. He's like, I like the 3-game wild card. It gives you a reason to watch. The games all are meaningful. You can't avoid it. You don't have to watch for 10 consecutive days. 3-game series, and it is impactful. I like it more than the best of one. We touched on this briefly yesterday. I thought the best of one is a little absurd after playing 162 games. They did it for like 10 years. I think the best of 3 is more fair. Now, yes, the Game 1 winners always win in this format, but to me it has been compelling must-watch television, and I think the best of 3 series works for most.
I love it. The 1-game wild card, to me, it just was such a crapshoot. Like, it's just one of those things
Crazy.
where if you had home field, it's so massive, and you lose that game. I mean, I just love the format of a 3-game series. Even if you lose Game 1, you still have a chance. Now, looking at the history, if you lose Game 1, you actually don't have a chance because now 15 of 17 teams that have won Game 1 in the wild card round have gone on to win the series. And you could look at
Could be
maybe
16 of 18.
It could be 16 of 18 here. And it could be 17 of 19 soon. And then it could be
18
of 20
yeah.
here soon
By
later
the end of the
tonight.
day, yeah.
But I love more postseason baseball. And you have now the entire week filled with it, with only a couple days off, and with the doubleheader on Monday between the Braves and the Mets, you get a full slate of baseball games all week long potentially.
Are you wondering what Joe Musgrove's career numbers are in the postseason? Have you ever thought to yourself, hey, I wonder what Joe Musgrove's career numbers are in the postseason?
Funny you asked that, John, because I have thought about that.
Do you know what they are?
Well, I do know what they are, John.
Okay.
They are a 4.26 ERA with 25 and a third innings pitched, but that also has the Houston, factor in as well. It doesn't count. I mean, you look at it just as Padres career postseason numbers. That's what I would look at more.
Yeah, it's with the Padres, it's 18 and 2/3 innings. He had the 7 scintillating 1-hit innings in New York, right?
An amazing
The
performance.
ridiculous Buck Showalter calling him out for a 7-inning performance.
Right.
Then you had a really good performance against the Dodgers. Not that good, but really good. 6 innings, 2 runs. And then you had one start against the Phillies, 5 2/3 innings, 8 hits, 4 runs. So overall, that is 18 2/3 innings, 6 runs. He's got a sub-3 ERA in a Padres uniform. That's 3 starts all in the 2022 postseason. I think he's a big game pitcher, and I think the evidence actually is right there. What he did against the Mets at Citi Field, what he did in 6 innings against the Dodgers. Okay, the Philly start wasn't as good, but he's come up pitching effectively multiple times for the Padres in 3 starts.
Yeah, and he's a guy that you want on the mound in these types of situations. And frankly, you'd want him in the mound in any situation. Game ones, elimination games, closeout games, game 5 tied 2-2 in the series. That's what's great about Joe, is that he is a pitcher that you are comfortable with in literally any situation that you throw out in the postseason. That's the best type of pitcher to have.
Yeah,
is that type of guy. I'm confident with him on the mound, as I always have been in the postseason series. And truthfully, anytime he's out there and healthy for the team, I always feel confident with Joe. And he's just gonna battle tonight. He actually walked into Petco wearing a old school Jake Peavy jersey.
Saw that.
He's ready to go. Jake Peavy was one of his favorite pitchers growing up. It's going to be electric again tonight. It's already electric right now. Naughty Barrel. I can't wait.
Max Fried in his career. This is amazing to me. Max Fried has thrown 65 postseason innings. He has appeared in 19 postseason games. He's made 11 starts. His numbers really aren't good. I mean, they're okay. He's got a 4.57. You look at what he's done here recently. I mean, 2021, and he really has not been effective. But, you look at his last 4 series in the postseason.
They're not good.
And he has not been good. Now, he's had some periods of time, 2021 NLDS against Milwaukee, 6 shutout innings. There's some outings in there going back 2019, 2020, 2021. But you look at 2022 against Philadelphia, 3 1/3 innings, 6 runs. You look at 2023 against the Phillies, 4 innings, 3 runs. So, again, not invincible. Regular season numbers, really, really good. Postseason numbers, not nearly as good for Max Fried. Hopefully that trend continues here tonight.
I think they're going to hit him tonight. I do. I think that with how this offense operates, where they just don't strike out at all. You saw the stat on ESPN last night. They just don't strike out. And in the postseason, if you're a team that doesn't strike out, that bodes very well for you as an offense.
Right.
I think they're going to put up some really good at-bats against them tonight. I think they're going to score off them. I don't think Max Fried's going to go out there and have a 7-inning shutout performance like Michael King had last night. I just don't envision that happening.
Right.
I think that they're going to get to Max Fried. I think his postseason numbers, to me, are more indicative of what type of pitcher you're going to see here tonight, other than his last start against the Royals, where he went 8 2/3. I don't envision him putting up that tonight. I just don't.
Did you see that the winner of this series did not announce the rotation today?
They announced it a couple days ago, right?
They officially announced it today.
Oh,
Initially, it was going to be Yamamoto game 1. They've actually flip-flopped it. It'll be Jack Flaherty game 1 and Yamamoto in game 2. They officially announced that today. Of course, they're waiting on the winner. If it's San Diego, amazing. If it's Atlanta, they'll have to overcome this 1-10 deficit. They've slated in their starters. This goes back to the point. The premise of the last 2 days has been Padres rotation greater than. And we'll see if that holds true through the remainder of October. Jack Flaherty's been good. Yamamoto, I mean, he missed a lot of this year. And again, not to look past this series. It could be the Braves. It could be the Padres. I do wonder how the 4 teams do this year that have the bye. I've wondered that the last 2 years. How do you deal with the bye? I wondered how teams would do at home this year in the wild card round. And look how the home teams have played. Outside of San Diego, the home teams haven't won a game yet in the MLB postseason.
And even if the Padres have another stress-free win tonight against the Braves, which we would all love, I'm with you. I think that not having that week off,
I like not having the week off.
It plays so big to me. It just feels that having a week off is a disadvantage. Especially baseball.
Yeah.
Football, it's different. Football, you want that bye because you want to rest up and you want to have all your guys be healthy. In baseball, it's a game. It's a rhythm game. It's a game that's played every day, and So having a week off, no wonder you've seen teams besides the Astros who have had weeks off not look sharp. And so it plays the Padres' advantage if they can take care of business tonight. They will not have had a week off, and I think that they'll be better off.
Yeah, then they set the rotation. They get Dylan Cease. They get 2 days off in advance of that series. Should they win tonight, the Orioles are down to a final out at Camden Yards after that amazing first half they had. Wow, they are an out away from getting swept at home by Kansas City. It is 2-1 Royals with 2 outs in the bottom of the ninth inning. We'll have that for you, a final, if it is final, on the other side as we continue to lead you up to first pitch. Padres and Braves coming up at 5:38. We're here at the Naughty Barrel until 5:30. We have Iron Maiden tickets for the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater coming up October 4th, which is what? In 2 days? Friday night. So we have Iron Maiden tickets for Friday night. We'll give those away coming up. Get to the Naughty Barrel. Happy hour until 6 p.m. Everyone's getting ready for game 2. It's the Padres and the Braves on this gorgeous day for baseball in downtown San Diego. Stay with us. This is Jon and Jim.
Baseball's postseason is underway, and we're live at Naughty Barrel previewing the action with the Fanatics. Now back to Jon and Jim.
San Diego Sports 760 has 13 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday with the Inflation Vacation. Listen to the nationwide keyword at the top of every hour from 6 a.m. through 6 p.m. Then enter it at sportsst.com. Get to Naughty Barrel, folks. We're here until 5:30. Get here tonight whether you have tickets or not. Happy hour until 6. Great atmosphere. San Diegans excited for Game 2 coming up tonight between the Padres and the Braves. So the Orioles-Royals game went final.
Yes.
The Royals swept the Orioles in Baltimore. Baltimore has lost 10 consecutive postseason games, 10 straight postseason games. The Royals a year ago were 56-106.
Is that good?
56-106. This year they are in the ALDS. And again, the Orioles are out again. They're always disappointing in the postseason. And of the 4 remaining teams, Jim, in the American League, 3 are from the AL Central. Royals, Tigers, Guardians.
Yeah, who'd have thought that?
Yeah.
With the worst team in baseball history in their division.
That helps get you there,
and
though.
you take out the records of those teams versus the Tigers, and they're all like 500.
Exactly.
So they're 3 of the 4 are in the DS round. Tigers are going to take on the Cleveland Guardians. The Royals are taking on the Yankees. All great matchups there.
Yeah.
And then we wait here to see what the Mets do tonight against the Brewers. That game is underway right now in Milwaukee. Mets have a 1-0 lead early, by the way, there. They move on. They would face their division rival in the Phillies. If the Padres win tonight or tomorrow, if it gets to Game 3, they're moving on to face their division rival in the Dodgers. So, yeah, I love an underdog story. I just don't love an underdog story tonight. Not in this this scenario between the Padres and the Braves.
This just popped up in my timeline as well. Nice television audience for Padres Braves last night. The primetime game did 2.9 million viewers, nearly 3 million viewers with that East Coast window. 2-hour tight game, the quickest postseason game in 17 years in Major League Baseball, played in front of 3 million people on television, 47,000 people inside Petco Park.
Did you like that, how fast it was?
No, not at all.
See, I'm the same way. Regular season, give me a 2-hour game all day.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
give me
But we've been waiting for this. It's like this only comes around once a year. I want some drama. I want them to win. I would take a 209 win over a 259 loss. It just felt like I could never really settle into the game.
Yeah.
I was waiting to settle into it, and it just kept coming very quickly.
I don't know why, but I went down a rabbit hole last night, and I started watching highlights. Don't ask me why. From the 07 game 163 between the Padres and the Rockies.
Oh, no, don't do that. Not now.
And at the end of that game, I think Don Orsillo was announcing it on TBS.
Yeah.
He said, a 4-hour and 59-minute game. I'm like,
Dude, they all used
what?
to be like that.
Now it was a 13-inning game, but still.
So 5. I mean, every Yankees-Red Sox regular season game on Sunday Night Baseball would take 4 hours to play.
Yeah.
Well, 7 years ago, the average Major League game was like 3.5 hours. And now they're down to like 2.5 hours. I mean, they've really shortened up the games. If you like that, great. Then you love it. I mean, if that's what you wanted, then you should be infatuated with what Rob Manfred did.
Yeah. Jack Imperio, the star rookie for the Brewers, hit a game-tying home run in the first inning.
Wow. So that's a 1-1 game?
1-1 game. Brewers are fighting for their playoff live right now.
I stand by my point, which is the Padres hopefully dodge the Mets bullet. We'll see what happens in Game 2 and or 3 of this series. But it feels like the Mets have today the healthier roster and the momentum that the Braves don't necessarily have at this exact moment. We'll see. I'd like to see it not be Padres Braves Game 3, but wouldn't we like to see a Game 3? Therefore, I'm holding out hope maybe for the Brewers to win. Otherwise, there's no baseball game tomorrow. If the Padres win, and if the Mets win, there's no baseball games tomorrow.
I'm with you. I want to see at least one Game 3 and it not be the Padres.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want a Game 3 here in San Diego, but I would love a Game 3 in Milwaukee.
That'd be good. Yeah.
And you're not getting it with the Royals. You're not getting it with the Tigers because both those teams swept and they're moving on. So it's up to the Brewers today to, force a Game 3 in Milwaukee for tomorrow. And hopefully there's no Game 3 here tomorrow in San Diego.
All-time Game 1 winners in the wild card round, which is 2020 and on. They didn't have them in 2021. Are Game 1 winners. What's the record now? 16-2.
16-2.
16-2 with a chance to go to as good as 18-2, depending on the results tonight. If San Diego wins and if New York wins the Mets, then game one winners would be 18-2 with a zillion sweeps.
Yeah, yeah. And the Padres are the other team that forced through game 3 after losing game 1 and actually won that game to advance. What is the other team? I can't think of it right now.
I don't know. It's the 2020 postseason. There were 8 wild cards.
Yeah, makes sense.
I'll have to look that up.
So since the actual, real regular postseasons have begun with this format, no team has won a series after losing game 1.
Look at the 2020 postseason.
Give me what happened. You know the Padres.
The 2-1 series. A's defeated the White Sox 2-1.
Did they lose game 1?
They did, because that was the only other series.
Okay.
So
R.I.P. Oakland. Oakland A's, not Oakland. Oakland A's.
And then the other 3 games is the other 6 series sweeps.
That's just mentioning the Oakland A's. Like,
Yeah.
I hate it. Screw you, Manfred Baseball,
And
John Fisher.
Beats
Was the White Sox.
Yeah. White Sox won game 1 4-1. A's won games 2.
Because didn't they go to Dodger Stadium on the neutral site DF games, and didn't they play the Tampa Bay Rays?
A's?
No.
They played the Astros.
The Astros, that's what it was.
Was it in Dodger
It
Stadium?
was at Dodger Stadium. And then they moved the
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, that was the
Look at you.
NLCS ended up being at Dodger Stadium, and then the ALCS ended up being here between the Rays and the Yankees.
Yeah. Nobody knows ALDS 2020 baseball.
I have a weird thing in my head where I can remember some random stuff as far as series go,
right?
Champions
But
go.
you don't know your anniversary. Yeah, exactly.
Hold on. I have so many different anniversaries. Don't you have multiple anniversaries, Kristen?
Well, no. I have an anniversary the day I got married.
See, I have the day I proposed, the day we got married, and the day we first went on our first date. That's how I like to do it. Not Kristen.
Okay.
What? I mean, you gonna dog me for that?
People have an anniversary.
Our anniversary is May 25th. Right?
You tell me, man. I have no idea.
Well, you officiated the wedding.
I don't know the day it was. Wasn't my wedding.
It was May 25th.
We'll give away Iron Maiden tickets. We'll get you ready for game 2. Padres and Braves in 30 minutes. We are at the Naughty Barrel, 9th and Market. We are about 40 minutes out from first pitch. Come join us. We're here for the next 30 minutes until 5:30. It's Jon and Jim. Hey guys, it's Schaefer, and Lowage mortgage rates are finally here thanks to the Fed and Loan Pronto. Loan Pronto just locked in a homeowner at 4.59% APR, the lowest in 2 years. Whether you got stuck with your loan last month or within the last year, it's time to call Loan Pronto and dump that high rate loan. You can lock in a lower rate fast with virtually no paperwork and usually no appraisal. There's no limit on how many times you can refi. So get started. Use this opportunity to get cash out and wipe out your credit cards. You could do a cash out refi and get 50, 75, 100K or more out of your home. And you can use that to pay off all your high interest debt and end up with just one low monthly payment. If you act now, you can even skip your next 2 house payments. Purchase loans available as well. So call now. Get your rate quote in minutes with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. VA Streamline loans are also available with Loan Pronto. Call 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781 on approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
Next break, come over. You're on. All right, this update is brought to you by Caltrans, cleancalifornia.com. Padres Braves game 2 tonight at Petco Park, 5:38 first pitch. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres against Max Fried for the Braves. Other games happening in the postseason right now. 2 finals. The Detroit Tigers took down the Houston Astros. They're moving on to the ALDS to take on the Cleveland Guardians, and the Kansas City Royals beat the Orioles 2-1. They're moving on to take on the Yankees in the DS round. And right now, game 2 between the Brewers and the Mets underway in Milwaukee. That game is knotted up at 1 top of the second. Imagine a photograph of your favorite place in California, then right in the middle of it, one piece of litter. Litter has no place in our lives, not one piece. Together, let's change that. Clean California, 0 litter is the goal. CleanCA.com.
It's showtime, folks!
Let the playoffs begin. We're breaking down the MLB wildcard round live with the faithful at Naughty Barrel, 844 Market Street, leading you right up to first pitch. Now, it's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final 30 minutes of Jon and Jim. We are taking photos right now with Padres fans. Thank you, seriously, for the kombucha. Appreciate you. Go Padres. Thanks,
Go Padres. Have a good one.
Enjoy the
Thank
game.
you. Nice meeting you.
So many people downtown. So many people are excited. Of course, the Padres are going for a sweep of Atlanta. If they do that, they'll get the LA Dodgers. That's what's on the line here tonight, game 2 of a 3-game series. Joe Musgrove opposite Max Fried.
Joe Musgrove.
First pitch in 35 minutes at 5:38. Yeah. Again, if you haven't made it down to the Naughty Barrel, it's starting to clear out with fans making their way into Petco Park. So they've got a seat for you at the bar or a booth or at a table. You can watch the game right here. We're at 9th and Market, which is literally 2 blocks from Petco Park. So this is the spot to be. Make your way down. We're here for 30 minutes. Happy hour goes until 6 p.m., and playoff baseball starts in 30 minutes.
It's really cool just being down here, and people are coming up to us like, hey, Jon and Jim, it's great. Watch the wrap-up show. Watch Jon and Jim. And then like, oh, you want a drink? People are just buying us drinks. Like, it's great to meet all of you. If you see us around, don't be afraid to come and say hi. Without you, I mean, this is nothing right here. So we appreciate all of our listeners that come up and say hi and watch the show and interact with us, and we love it.
Yeah, it's getting real now. Like, this is game time. It's game 2.
It's game time.
People
Lock
are
in.
Making their way
Lock
in.
in.
It's time to lock in. This is a Padres team that's going with a near identical lineup to yesterday. The only change is Jay Cronenworth has slid down from 7th to 8th, and Donovan Solano has slid up from 8th to 7th. That's because a left-hander is on the mound in Max Fried. Other than that, they did enough on offense last night. We saw some of the comments on social media and on the wrap-up show last night. People saying, if this team's going to make a deep run, their offense has to be better. I'm like, slow down. It's one game. Right. The pitching was really good. 4 runs is not 1 run. They scored and they added on. They scored the first inning. They added on in, what was it, the second or the third inning. They got the Higgy home run later. 4 runs in a postseason game, you're going to win a lot. You know, I mean, in the regular season, you score 4 runs, you win a lot. You score 4 runs in the postseason, you'll win a lot. I was completely fine with the overall offensive performance last night.
Well, you didn't need to have 7 runs put on the board. Like, truthfully, the first pitch home run by Toddy last night, that's all you needed.
Right.
A 4-0 win, you'll take that every day. 4 runs in a postseason game, if you get really good pitching, that's going to be plenty enough. And in the postseason, good pitching, timely hitting, good defense, you're going to win a lot of games, and that's exactly what they had last night. Great pitching from King and timely hitting from Toddy.
Same formula tonight. Honestly, I think 4 runs is enough for Joe Musgrove in the bullpen. It might not be 4-0. It might be 4-2. It might be 4-1. Shoot, it might be 4-3. But if you told me right now you get a first inning 2-run home run, or you score twice in the first, and you score 4 runs overall, again, that's the key total, regular season or postseason. 3 runs or less, you lose more than half the time. 4 runs or more, you win more than half the time. I think in the postseason, you score 4 runs with Joe Musgrove on the mound, I'll take my chances. If you told me today the Padres score 4 times, I think there's a better than not chance they've won the baseball game and they're moving on.
I think the atmosphere tonight, too.
Now you can clinch.
Like, when you have an opportunity to clinch at home it just kind of takes up to another level, in my opinion.
Sure.
And I do actually think tonight's going to be a better game than last night. Not saying that last night was a bad game, but truthfully, from the Padres' perspective, how much stress was on last night's game?
Not a ton.
Not a ton. Really, not a, like after the first inning, it didn't feel like there was many or if any stressful moments the remainder of that game once they took a 2-0 lead and Michael King started pitching the way he pitched.
There were two. Top of the first inning, first and third, 2 outs.
Yeah, that was
Michael King got out of it. And in the third inning, 2 on, 2 out in a 3-0 game.
Right.
That was the tying run was at the plate in the third inning. Thank you, by the way. Yeah, you're right. That's not typical of postseason games. That's not what we're seeing in like the Royals-Orioles series or what's played out in the Mets-Brewers series, for example.
Yep.
Typically, a postseason game is going to have some of those like, bite your nail moments. And
back
last
and
night
forth.
didn't really provide those, which I'm fine with. I hope the same thing tonight. I hope they win 5-0.
Like there wasn't a situation in the game where there's runners on second and third with no outs.
No, not once.
Against the
The whole
Padres. Not once.
No.
And that creates like no stress. It was one of the stress-free games that you can remember for a postseason game. Really.
Yeah. Now, again,
even though it's 4-0.
I hope that it's another anticlimactic win.
I would
mean,
love
if
that.
it's 5-0 and they jump out to a 3-0 lead and Joe Musgrove is great, the Braves don't score in the series, and we're talking about the Dodgers for the next 72 hours because that's how much time you'd have from tonight until Saturday whenever they play. I think that's terrific. The odds to me suggest that won't play out. That's how I started the show by saying against someone like Max Fried, against a franchise as proud as Atlanta that's been in the postseason 7 straight years, that has players like Matt Olson and Marcell Ozuna and Ozzie Albies on it, I personally would be surprised if they went down without a fight. That would surprise me immensely if that played out in these 2 games.
Yeah, I do think the Braves will put a run on the board tonight at least.
I agree.
I do think they're going to score tonight.
Yeah.
I hope it's only like
a run or two,
but I do think they will get on the board tonight. I'm with you. I don't envision them going down without a fight.
Yeah.
I just don't. Michael King was on another level yesterday.
He really was.
If Joe can match that, that'd be great. But even if he doesn't, Joe's going to battle for you and get you to a point in the game where you have a chance to win, or they're leading, or whatever it is. I don't think he's going to implode in on himself. So, yeah, tonight's game will be much tougher than last night's game for sure. It will be a game that I do think there will be more stress to it. But I also think that they're going to hit Fried. I just do.
I think they will. I think they will too.
Yeah.
Here's the one thing that didn't happen last night that you always consider in a postseason game, which is when you quiet a crowd. And of course, Atlanta didn't because San Diego scored the first inning, and then it was kind of fever pitch from there on out. From Atlanta's perspective, if you score first, you kind of create that uneasy feeling inside the building. So that's the onus on Joe Musgrove. The onus is on the lineup to prevent that from happening. Score early. Do the same thing as last night. Again, I think it'll be a better game. I think the Padres will find a way to win this game. As I said earlier, they might even have to do it overcoming a deficit. And I'm excited to watch it play out. I don't want to deal with tomorrow. I'm being completely honest.
neither.
This year has been too good for me to have to deal with one game deciding whether they're moving on or not. So I hope they take care of it today so we don't have to stress it out for the next 20 hours or whatever.
Mets have taken a 3-1 lead over Milwaukee, top second. Runners at second and third with 2 outs there.
Their offense has been terrific.
They are scary. They're like the Tigers. Like, you don't want to face them.
Right.
The Orioles went into the postseason not really playing great baseball, but the Orioles also went into the postseason playing not great baseball either. And the Royals advanced. The Mets are just very hot right now.
We saw 2 years ago a 5 seed play a 6 seed, right? That was Padres Phillies.
Yeah.
Padres this year are a 4 seed. The Mets are a 6 seed.
Mets are the 6 seed.
Yeah.
Padres the 4 seed.
So I'm just,
last year you saw the Diamondbacks as the 6 seed.
Would anyone be shocked if the Mets win the series and then Philadelphia? No, it's shocking.
Going forward now, if things hold serve, if the Padres advance and if the Mets advance, I mean, you got in the American League more chances of upsets than the National League, in my opinion.
Upset. So you're saying, well, basically the only marquee in there is the Yankees.
What I mean is, if the Padres advance here and they beat the Dodgers, I don't think that will be viewed the same way as if the Royals beat the Yankees. Where if the Royals
Right.
if the Royals beat
Yes,
the Yankees,
I
that's
agree.
considered like a massive upset. Padres beat the Dodgers. On paper, it's a quote upset.
Agreed.
But we watch this team, and everybody knows how good the Padres are. So the only upset part about it would just be like a formality.
Here's the thing: we'll have plenty of time to talk about it if it is Padres.
Yeah, gotta get there
and
first.
Even if it's a 3-game series, we'll have a full day to talk about it on Friday. But the point is a valid one, which is if it is Padres Dodgers, it's a very equal series. It's a very even series on paper. It has a chance to be a good series or a longer series if it does play out. And the good thing is we'll have at least a day to talk about it, because if they win it today, we have 2 days to talk about it. If they win it tomorrow, we have Friday to talk about it. But it's compelling and it's exciting, and the Padres are trying to close it out here tonight with Joe Musgrove on the mound. Who would have ever thought we spent so many Fridays here when Joe Musgrove wasn't available? We didn't know if he was going to come back in 2024, and he returned in 2024, and he's pitched marvelously. 9 starts since returning, a 2.15 ERA, and now on the mound in Game 2 with a chance to close out another series for the Padres. An early flyover, 25 minutes out.
No.
Say a plane or
that's not a plane. That's like
overhead.
a jet.
Yes, jet overhead.
Yeah.
Who's throwing out our first pitch tonight?
Ooh, good question. Last night, Blink-182.
Yeah.
Good question, John. I don't know.
Find out soon?
We'll find out soon, yes.
Very soon. We're going
Yeah.
to find out in about 20 minutes.
But
All right.
Whoever it is, it will like be meaningful, you know?
Well, yeah, I don't think it's just going to be like
hey,
some
John,
rando.
you're throwing out the first
Yeah,
pitch tonight.
Right. I don't think it's going to be some rando.
No.
Okay, so we're here until 5:30. Stay with us. Much more. We'll keep you updated on everything going on inside Petco Park. 5:38 is the first pitch time. We are at Naughty Barrel. And if you've never been here, it's a great spot. We're at 9th and Market. We're 2 blocks away from Petco Park. We're outside, but you can watch the games either outside or inside. It couldn't be better. Yesterday was a perfect day. Now today's a perfect weather day.
Yeah, perfect.
Yesterday was 74. Today's 75. There's not a cloud in the sky for a second straight day. So make your way down. We've got one more segment for you. We'll give away Iron Maiden tickets on the other side. And we're getting you ready for Padres and Braves. Can the Padres close out Atlanta? We'll find out tonight. This is Jon and Jim.
And we're at Naughty Barrel, 844 Market Street, breaking down the MLB postseason live with the people. Now we get back to Jon and Jim.
All right, final time. We're at the Naughty Barrel until 5:30. First pitch coming up in 21 minutes. Padres, Braves. Padres a win away from the National League Division Series. First caller is a call away from Iron Maiden tickets for Friday night at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Call 877-767-4760 for Friday night tickets to see Iron Maiden. The Padres won't be playing because Friday's an off day in Major League Baseball. So 877-767-4760. First caller has 2 free tickets to see Iron Maiden Friday night at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. What's the general feel of Padres fans tonight based on what we've seen here at the Naughty Barrel? I think people are confident and excited, but maybe a little more nervous tonight as opposed to the way they felt yesterday with the rookie starter on the mound.
Oh, everyone's still nervous for sure because of the possibility of if the Padres lose tonight, game 3 tomorrow, it's an elimination.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? So there is a lot of nerves there, just like there was nerves yesterday, maybe more tonight. But I also do think there is this like ready to explode type of feeling because it is. I mean, we're talking so much about don't get to tomorrow. Well, if they don't get to tomorrow and the Padres do win tonight, guess what they're doing? They're celebrating tonight. It's clinch night. You could have another celebration here at Petco Park. There was only one in 2022. Now it was the biggest one against the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
We all remember that very well.
Yep.
But they didn't clinch here at home for the postseason. They celebrated up in LA. And they have an opportunity tonight to clinch in front of the fans and celebrate in front of these fans and celebrate at home.
Yep.
And really go like it just everybody was ready to explode. So there's nerves there for sure. I mean, if the Braves go up early 1-0, everyone will be tight. Everyone will be tight.
You know what? To be honest, though, 1-0. The way this team plays, I won't be nervous on 1-0.
Fans will, not the players.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's 1-0 in the first inning with this lineup, we're able to work. Whether it's a starter or a bullpen, they're always going to. How often this year have the Padres been shut out?
Not a lot.
I mean, very rarely. So hopefully they'll find a way to put some pressure on over the course of 9 innings. I mean, we've seen times this year where they look left for dead after 6 innings, and then they rally for a couple of runs in the 7th or 8th or 9th inning. So I'm not worried if they go down a run. I'd be worried if they went down multiple runs or if they went down multiple runs late. But if they go down a run early, I think they can absolutely deal with it. And this is what I said 3 hours ago. I think tonight presents more adversity than was presented an evening ago. In fact, I'd be certainly surprised, if not shocked, if we saw a near identical result tonight like it was last night.
I think early on, you're going to tell how this game's going to go. Either it's going to be a pitching duel or it's going to be a back and forth affair. I think after the first inning, if both pitchers go out there and they have quick 1-2-3s to open the game up, I think you should expect a pitching duel tonight.
Mm-hmm.
If in the first inning, Padres get to Fried, maybe they put a run on the board, maybe the Braves get to Musgrove, they put a run on the board, then it could turn into a back and forth game. But I think early on will determine how this game is going to go. If the Padres can get Fried's pitch count up to like 25-30 in the first inning, I think that bodes very well for them for the rest of the game to not only get to Fried, but get him out of the game early and not have him have an opportunity to go like 7.
I think it's also a positive from San Diego's perspective that Musgrove didn't face Atlanta this year. So anyone of the Braves hasn't faced Musgrove since at least 2023. I don't see that as a negative. Nobody has seen him as recently as this season because he didn't pitch against Atlanta.
No one in Atlanta saw Michael King this year either.
Good point. Yeah, good. And look what happened.
Yeah. So maybe that's another thinking to why they started King and Musgrove game 1 and 2 because they didn't see him. They saw Cease this year, I think multiple times.
Right.
They didn't see King and they haven't seen Musgrove.
Yeah, someone earlier on our text line 70470 started with team said 619 thoughts on why Cease isn't starting game 1 or game 2. It's because of what we've talked about really for weeks on end now, that they basically have 4 comparable starters. You could argue the pros and cons of all 4 of them. But I think you're trusting of Dylan Cease, whether it's in game 3 of this series or game 1 against the LA Dodgers if they're fortunate enough to advance. But I think it's just because they're deep. I don't think it's a knock on Dylan Cease that he's scheduled to start game 3 of this series or game 1 against the Dodgers. I just think they like the matchup they had potentially with Michael King and Joe Musgrove in front of Dylan Cease. I don't think he's a number 3 starter because he's slated as the game 3 starter, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There's reasons to everything why the rotation lined up the way it has for the first at least 2 games of the series.
Right.
And you know what? It worked out beautifully last night with Michael King going game 1. No one's questioning that now, right?
No,
no,
absolutely.
I mean,
not.
everyone's like, "Oh, yeah, okay, I get it." Hey,
yeah, it worked out really well.
Worked out really well. It makes sense.
By the way, the Padres game tonight, if you're wondering where you could watch this game, last night was on ESPN. It's on ESPN 2. So tonight's game is on ESPN 2 because the ESPN game is being played right now between the Mets and the Brewers. So I believe that tonight's Padres game, if you're trying to watch it, will be on ESPN 2. Of course, there's no local television broadcast rights for the postseason in 2024, which means you've heard and watched the last of Don and Mud on a Padres telecast this year. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. But they were at the game last night. They were shown on the video board. They got the rousing ovation, and you got the good vibes with Don and Mud, hopefully in the building. But again, this will be on ESPN 2. ESPN has the exclusive rights to all wild card series, and tonight's game will be on ESPN 2.
All right, there
which
you go.
we all have, right?
Oh yeah, we all have ESPN 2. Vibes are high. Vibes are very high right now.
This place cleared out because the Padres are playing in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, but it will get full once
Well,
the
they
game
said
ends
afterwards last night
Yeah.
there were a lot of people here for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
You know,
And tonight,
hanging out, celebrating.
And if the Padres win tonight and they advance,
Oh, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be even better. Like, just the celebrations will get bigger and bigger the deeper the Padres potentially go in the postseason. I mean, we were a part of it. I mean, the NLCS was. I mean, the streets were shut down.
Yes,
People were
literally.
partying in the streets. So
Right.
yeah, come on down to Naughty Barrel. Come on down this weekend, by the way. If the Padres advance, they'll have Padres Dodgers on here. And they were just voted, John, the best barbecue in San Diego, according to the SD Readers poll. That's amazing. Their Friday, Saturday, and Sunday barbecue. It's delicious. The smash burgers with the brisket. It's a must get when you come to Naughty Barrel during the weekends for happy hour. So get down here and have some of their award-winning barbecue.
How did we not mention in 3 hours and 24 minutes that, and again, everyone knows this, but how did we not mention in 3 hours and 24 minutes that Max Fried was drafted by the Padres? That has to come up in 3 hours. How do we not mention Max Fried selected 7th overall by the Padres in 2012 as facing the Padres tonight? That's got to come up,
Because
right?
it happened such a long time
I know.
ago.
It's like saying that, Steve Fisher used to give out tickets to Aztec games at VA House. Right. It's like you've heard the story so many times, but Max Fried against the organization that did draft him 12 years ago, pitching tonight at Petco Park. It's at least something that should be mentioned.
I don't think Max Fried's going out there and be like, "You can't believe you traded
No, I
me."
don't think 12 years later, now in the second half of his career,
hold a little
that's
grudge.
probably his first thought. A guy that's pitched a lot of postseason games. Tonight will be his 20th career postseason game. Will be pitching against Joe Musgrove, who, again, was so good after returning from the IL, a 2.15 ERA. Joe Musgrove, of course, was so good in the postseason in 2022 for the San Diego Padres. Should be fun. Join us tonight afterwards. Once this game goes final, we'll be on YouTube. Search for the Padres wrap-up show. We'll be breaking it down afterwards, hopefully celebrating a Padres series win. If not, preparing you for Game 3 and all that entails.
We'll freak out
tomorrow
together
at Petco Park. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify. Thank you, Sammy Long. Engineering. Thank you, Mike Usher, who left earlier but was engineering. For Brent Sperry in the studio and Jim Russell, I'm John Schaefer. Get to the Naughty Barrel. We'll catch up with you post-game. This is San Diego Sports 760.
Okay, peace out. Bye. Go Padres.
Bye-bye.